I always like to say, when people say, oh, the last profile, it's always humbling when I hear the profile. But I'd like to say I'm a full trained Nigerian graduate. At some point, I started looking out for a job. And to the grace of the Almighty, I'm here today through friends, through colleagues, through attending events like this. So it's a huge honor to be able to speak to you this morning. So in my keynote, I think I just want to set the context. Context essentially around RISE, around seeking opportunities, around also being very positive when it comes to the idea of looking for careers or setting about your career. So we're living in very, very transformative times. I think if you look at the fact that we've survived some of the toughest times known to man, talking about the pandemic, I won't dwell on that too much. But on screen, you can see I have some statistics there, which are quite instructive if you will be looking for a job or looking to switch jobs or grow a career in 2022 and beyond. So we have in there, and these are stats from research done by EY and other reputable organizations. We're postulating that by 2022, about 85% of the customer's brand experience would occur from any or without any human interaction. How many of us still go to the bank regularly? That's one example in Nigeria. You don't have to do that anymore to get all the services you need, and it would keep changing, it would keep increasing. We're saying that, look, by 2030, 2 billion jobs will be displaced on account of technology, which means that if you're going to be dwelling in a society that has become like this, tech is no longer a nice to have. It is now a must have because it's going to be very important for your ability to thrive in that kind of society. Now let's talk about the new normal. Even though that word became quite popular from COVID and living through COVID times, what we find is generally humanity is now very distracted. And of course, what happens with distraction? It means the 24 hours you have goes towards so many things. So you're fighting with so many things for attention. So part of you growing and thriving in your chosen career would mean that you have or you hone the ability to be able to manage or thrive through these different realities that we now see. You can see, for example, that 70 to 80% of jobs will disappear in the next 20 years. Hopefully, they'll be replaced by new ones. So that means that it's not enough to say, I'm an engineer, I'm a lawyer, I'm a teacher. You would have to keep self-obsoleting the skills. You would have to keep learning new things. So while back in the day, it was okay to graduate, get a job, work there for your entire life, get the freezer, get the car, those types of benefits our parents got. Now, you have to keep making opportunities, keep recreating yourself. So that means that potentially, it would be possible for us to have many careers in one lifetime. And that's actually what the experts say, that the average person is expected to have about 10 careers, not 10 jobs, 10 careers, which means you can do different things as you please. As opportunities come up, you keep going with the time. So you can't be in one corner and trying to thrive in the now normal, or the, well, now normal as you say, but I prefer to say now normal, not new normal. And then let's look at what today's work is like. Because at the end of the day, that's critical to all the things we need to talk about. Work in the past meant you worked in a corporate environment. You went to find work in an office. These days, there are people who wake up in the morning, they're in front of their computer, you don't even know what they do. The highest selling or the most lucrative profession today is content creation. Now, let's talk about, that's another conversation, whether or not the dancing, the singing on TikTok is where we want to go. But truth be told, it is now the #1 destination for young people, at least in terms of content. So the idea of work, the idea of a career does not need to happen in an office or within the 4 walls of an office anymore. It has changed. Of course, you're looking at work anytime, anywhere. In the last 2 years, if I aggregate time, or actually in the last 5 years really, because I have been working remotely before COVID forced us to, I don't think I have done Monday to Friday in an office in about 5 years. And I'd like to believe that I'm still working because, hey, I got introduced that I work somewhere. Of course, today's work also requires experimenting. You can't experiment if you don't have a vast body of knowledge. You can't experiment if your outlook on life is not open. You can't experiment if you don't have a broad frame of reference that allows you to talk about different things. So yes, you might have trained as an engineer, but you must understand what happens in tech, in HR, all those areas. Because at the end of the day, the sum total of work would require that you collaborate, not only with human beings, in some cases with technology. So the new world order is such that if you're going to actually grow and thrive in a chosen career, you would need to have a very broad outlook and mindset. And then, of course, trust. Trust is the currency of the modern business. It's not skills. You have got to be somebody who can be trusted to deliver. You would also be seeking for organizations that you trust that will deliver on what they have said is their promise or their conviction for making you join them. Now let's talk about careers in the new normal, because at the end of the day, this is a career fair. But I want to digress a bit to talk about what a career is. Because sometimes when I speak to young people, people through mid-careers, there tends to be a bit of a confusion as to what a career should be. So I looked at the Oxford Dictionary and it said, look, a career is an occupation undertaken for a significant period of a person's life and with opportunities for progress. A person's course or progress through life or a distinct portion of life. Nowhere did it define a career as work in the within a corporate organization, a global organization, because you can have great experience in Nigerian organization. Nowhere did it define work as, oh, it has to be that you're working for someone, because you can actually be an entrepreneur and still that's your career. You can actually be a homemaker and that's your career. You can actually be a trader and that's your career. But the point is, at least for me, it is choosing a field that allows you make progress. And progress, unlike what society makes us believe, is also not just financial. That's why I like Yoruba names. So for example, my full name is Omolola. And when people say, oh, what does it mean? People say it means a child is a source of wealth. I'm like, a child is a source of prosperity. And prosperity is very contextual. Some people want to drive G-Wagon. Some people are happy taking Uber, but through their chosen careers, they are impacting others. They're building a life for purpose, which is why people who go into environment protection, sustainability, I'm not saying you can't make money there, don't get me wrong, but they have not made the get rich or die trying that we see now, the white, those people who drive those white cars around Lagos. They haven't chosen that as the, I must make money, otherwise I don't have a job. So anyone in the room who feels that they have or have chosen a path that their parents, uncles, aunties are saying, when are you going to make money from this one? At the end of the day, success comes from impact. So please, yes, there are corporate organizations exhibiting, but for some people, that might not be your interest. I want to say to you, hone your skills, focus on the impact, focus on your purpose, because at the end of the day, we are called to live a purpose-driven life, not a financial-led life. Money is good, don't get me wrong, but it's important to prioritize those things, and I'll speak a bit more about that. Now, because we now know that our career ultimately leads us to a purpose, it is then important that we're conscious about planning it. The Nigerian problem is such that from when your parents give birth to you, they know what you are going to do. And it can only be what? Please say the possible careers in Nigeria after me. Doctor, lawyer, So, the people who are making billions dancing on TikTok, they say, yeah, he's successful, but I don't know what they do. That tells you that the journey to success is not linear. And as I showed you in my previous slides, society is transforming. So doctor, lawyer, all of those things. I have people who, where I work, are doctors, lawyers by training. But they have left all of those things and have followed their passion, and they're happy. Remember that again, happy, money is great because you need money to obviously get things done. But that is not all they are called to do, make money. They have found great joy from living a life of purpose. I mean, my very good friend is in the room, Adora. I hope she gets a chance to share her story. She has a very interesting career. She's a known face for HR, but her beginning has nothing to do with HR. A lot of the Nigerian companies that we hail today, she also has left her DNA in all those places. But today, she's living her life impacting others, pushing the professions. So in this room, everybody would not be lawyer, doctor, but the point is we all must stay committed to achieving or living a career that is purposeful. Of course, it now means that if you're planning your career, you have to be sequential about it. Unfortunately, we have a society that does not reward hard work. So you see some stories, 20-year-old bought car for someone, you're like, how? The society I grew up in, even in university, even if you take a pencil case, they'll still ask you, who gave you? Where did you see this from? Return it. But now, increasingly, we're measuring or equating career to financial success. And that's why, sadly, a lot of people have all the money, but they don't have friends. They don't have fulfillment, and you keep wondering what is driving them. So remember that, yes, it's a career fair that is opening us opportunities, but at the end of the day, for you to truly rise, you cannot rise without a commitment to impact and purpose. So as you go on talking to the people, make sure your selection of a chosen job is one that allows you ultimately accomplish that purpose or the impact. Now, what are some of the career realities of the new normal? Because that's really what we're seeing these days. I mean, technology is a given. I mentioned it earlier on that you cannot talk about having a career now if you don't think about what tech can do. These days, we order akara, puff puff, moi moi, clothes, hair, everything using platforms that would have been unbelievable. That is the essence and the benefit of tech. I talked about the fact that you thriving in today's world will mean understanding how to work with not just human beings, but also cobots, which are your colleagues that are robots. A lot of us probably have heard of organizations where you are the only one in Nigeria, your colleagues are in America, Dubai, and you're making a lot of money. That is the reality we find ourselves, and our skills must expand to be able to thrive in such an environment. Of course, we no longer talk about jobs or careers for life anymore. I tell my clients, nobody's sticking around to get the gold watch or the deep freezer or the car. People want so many things. People are looking for experiences, not employment. So it is also important that, yes, you need a job, it's very important, but in taking that decision, also look out for organizations that their values align with yours. Look out for organizations that give you the chance to get experiences. Money is good, but the average pay rise lasts, what, 3 months? After 3 months, just money is not even enough, safe. I don't know how it happens, but like magic, it always grows to meet, your lifestyle always grows to meet your income. So it's important to look out for purpose and impact. Of course, when we talk about high unemployment, we're also seeing people take jobs. Well, and don't get me wrong, you have basic needs that must be met. But don't let anybody make you feel bad for initially going after what allows you to meet your basic need and then going after your purpose or impact. Because at the end of the day, that's what we're called to do. That's what we're called to do. Of course, with globalization, it also means a lot of people, I think in the initial speech, we heard about the testimonies that Mr. Mokikon gave, talked about someone who said he's now a cybersecurity analyst in the UK. There are a lot of people who are living in Nigeria and they're working for a US company, earning dollars. So the myriad of options today are, they're limitless. But the question first is you need to decide ultimately what is right for you and what is good for you, and then you take it on from them. So obviously, because we now live in a world where there is no careers for life, it means that that sense of, oh, I want to work for, I'm looking for job security. I'm looking for a global company. I'm looking for multinational. Those are good ambitions, by the way. But you must ask yourself at the end of the day, it's a two-way street. What am I going to get by going after those experiences? Some people work in organizations that you're like, oh my goodness, that is my ultimate dream job. But it is not the right one for them and they're struggling, and vice versa. So it is important not to, as they say, don't go and photocopy someone else's life. You must go by your own risk. The fact that someone has a certain career does not mean that that is the right one for you. So word of caution as well. Oh, the people who left my set, the people who were in school together with, they're working in so and so. I want to do this. And so you follow their life in an attempt to photocopy, forgetting that your own impact, your own ultimate prosperity will come from doing different things. So very important to take that in mind. Now let's talk about what the future looks like. I'm trying to manage my time so I can spend time on ultimately what we need to be talking about. Next slide, please. So, it goes without saying that the future belongs to those who prepare for it today. And making that decision to be here today is one of those options. You could have slept a bit longer. After all, the weather is a bit cool these days. Nobody would hold you for it. But you're here today, and that's the right thing. And at the back are opportunities where you might get that one chance, that one person who will take you further along that purpose. So let's use the chance and the opportunity this provides well. Now, let's talk about what are the skills we need for the future, because at the end of the day, if you're going to rise and thrive in the future, we must consider what skills we need, especially as we now know that the world our parents worked in is not the world we are working in now. It's a totally different one. So this was a report done by World Economic Forum. Even though we're 2 years past 2020, it is still applicable, and I thought I would share the details. If you look at what we needed in 2015, Few skills around critical thinking, negotiation, quality control, all of those things. But if you look at what has now happened in 2020, there are now new additions. So I talked about the fact that people are no longer looking for employment, they are looking for experiences, which means that in one location, there will be many people who want different things. So the human being is very emotive, very emotional. We're not saying that the workplace becomes a creche, but we're saying people are going to work beyond the need for just a paycheck. So if you're going to thrive in that kind of world, you must also hone your emotional intelligence skills. Service orientation. If you want to be served, i.e. you want to become an oga in future, you also have to serve. And that's one charge I have of us in the room. I tend to find, and I might be wrong, a lot of people are very open to gimme, 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 take. But nobody talks about the fact that what else can I give? So when indeed you go out and you join a company, the most important thing in your mind should not be, how would this company pay me? What would this company pay me? You truly must go beyond and give of yourself to that organization if you have to benefit in return. And the way these things go, it's a will. I know traditionally they'll say, oh, when you do something, and they'll tell you in Yoruba, Omo Ashere, I mean, your child will do the same for you. It almost works the same way. Some people complain sometimes about, oh, this person is bad, this person is bad. But you almost sometimes want to ask, well, or for those who you know what they did, you take a step back and say, think about what kind of employee you were. Were you one who actually served? Did you truly serve? Or you were one who just had take? Cognitive flexibility is also something I think we in Nigeria, we need to work a bit. So we're so quick to say, I don't know it, it's not in my culture, therefore it is wrong. In today's working world, you're essentially looking or honing skills that are relevant for a global environment. You might be in Nigeria, in Lagos, in some hole in Osun State, but at the end of the day, it's all about exchange of value. You can only have a career when you're serving someone, when there's someone benefiting from what you're doing. So at the end of the day, our mindset needs to shift and expand for us to be able to accommodate and understand that different outcomes are possible. So something I think as Nigerians we struggle with and we need to do a bit more of. Of course, Internet of Things, Internet of Skills, these are all terminologies we hear these days, and these are here to stay. No longer is it a question of, oh, I'm going to be the only one who can do this job, so I keep asking for more money. This is, you're on the internet. You put the opportunity out there. 1 million people on Upwork will bid for it. Some are in India, some are in countries we have never heard, and that is who you are actually competing with. So your skills increasingly would have to elevate to the status where you can rank pari passu with the skills other people are buying. Now, what are the skills? How are you making sure your skills are future-proof? So this is now 2022, the same report, but they've now moved it into 2022. You would notice that under declining, a lot of the skills that require manual work. So you were best in engineering, but if you're a very poor team player, you're not likely to go beyond middle management, because the higher you go, it's more and more of your work with and through others as against the skill you come with. You were the best in university, or you didn't make a first class. You didn't make a 2-1, but you're such a great people player. You can actually you can get to any heights you want because you have a skill that people need. You're self-aware, you understand how to treat people, you're respectful of people's values, all of those things. So the new world of work is such that while we need technical skills to get in, we need to also grow and continue to develop our soft skills. 5 things I want us to think about: analytical thinking and innovation. I talked about cognitive abilities before. You would need to accept and also learn how to do things differently, because it cannot be your way or the highway. It's changing. You also have to make sure you're working on leadership and social influence. So leadership and management are very different, by the way. A manager manages resources, but a leader is somebody who makes use of opportunities. So it doesn't matter that you are 20 years post-graduation and your colleague is now CEO somewhere, and you are probably just an admin manager. In the admin manager role that you're doing, how are you demonstrating leadership? How are you demonstrating ownership? How are you serving? How are you looking out for the interests of your employer? You can't cheat nature, right? So you can't say you want, even though, okay, those guys who drive the big white cars, they think they're cheating nature, but at the end of the day, they still meet their Waterloo in front. So we're not about that life, and we're not talking about that type of career here. We're talking about the career that allows you serve, learn, for you to be able to rise and thrive. That's what we're talking about this morning. Now let's talk about the skills for the priorities for a Nigerian employer. I want to spend a bit more, employer, I beg your pardon. So I'm going to spend a bit more time on this. I'm kind of racing through my slides, but this is very important. One is digital literacy. You don't get a pass these days on whether you can use digital. And digital is not browsing, by the way. I've seen that on a few CVs. I can browse, Internet Explorer. That's a given. What can you do with digital skills to enhance your marketability? There's so many people now in the world, so for you to really differentiate yourself, digital literacy is something you have got to embark on. There's so many free courses. Please, you can watch the TikTok videos when you're tired and all, but I beg, let's use a lot of the resources and also hone our skills. You can't be saying, oh, I'm not sure I can use Word, or I'm waiting for my brother to do this. You already are pricing yourself from a market that is already very tight. You also need to understand data, because data is the new oil, as they say. Data allows you to tell stories, allows you from, even at your interview, if you're able to show analysis and do trends, it sets you apart from other people. It makes you a better leader because you're able to use scarce resources to better advantage than somebody who is just going through the motion. You also need to have a global mindset. I talked about that earlier on. In Nigeria, this is what we do. This is how we do it. It cannot work. We have our laws, we have our customs, we have our practices. And of course, some things are not acceptable to us as Nigerians. But that should not be the face that we present when we're engaging or interacting with people. Because today, we talk about diversity, we talk about biases. Some people are held back from assuming that next level in their careers because of some of this baggage we have around, I'm Nigerian, this is what we do in Nigeria, so it would not work. You are now living in a global world, even though you are resident in Nigeria. And then, of course, entrepreneurship and business acumen. So a lot of people say, oh, I'm going to be an entrepreneur. I respect entrepreneurs. I have such great respect for them because it's not easy. Especially in our country, present circumstances, it's not easy. But it's definitely not a career path for everyone. And so if you've decided that entrepreneurship is what you want to do, I would like to say if you're leaving paid employment to go in there, make sure your beginning was such that you were doing all of those things. Because if you get there and thinking it's some magic wand, you will struggle with a lot of things. And the waste and all of that comes from different aspects that you can't even imagine. But an entrepreneurial mindset, even when you work within a formal organization or you're an employee, is such that you take the business of and put it on your head, literally. A lot of people say, oh, it's not my job, I'm just here for that. And you do just the barest minimum. But that which your hand findeth to do at this present moment, elevate it. I mean, my mom would always say, give a small office to a man with a big mind. And before you know what it is, the person has expanded the office. But give a small office, or rather give a big office to a man with a small mind, you will shrink it. You will not even recognize it anymore. So the little we're doing right now, how are we making it really big? Okay, so you feel that you should be senior or middle level. But in the task you have been assigned, how are you doing it? What level of detail are you attending to it? And then we need to stay curious. I talked about self-obsoleting. So you might know something today, but make sure you keep reading. Make sure you keep improving. Because the world we live in now, what you know today, by tomorrow, ceases to be relevant. So you must constantly read. You must constantly know topics outside of your immediate area. That's the only way you can truly stay relevant. That's the only way you can truly compete. You also need to be able to communicate, and that's both verbal, non-verbal, written, spoken. A lot of us have gotten into the expressing opinion in 160 characters. So you think it's okay to tell a prospective employer, good morning, GUDMRN. If I don't understand that, then I wouldn't even bother. On CVs, we say abbreviations we don't understand. You're talking and you're saying it's like, you guys, so you would need to actually enhance, a total revamp is necessary, communication skills. I talked about emotional intelligence earlier on, and I talked about service orientation already. I also want to talk about positivity. Things are tough right now, but there are too many people who are stuck in that mindset. My career is not where it should be because somebody is doing me, because my parents didn't buy jam form, because I didn't do this, because at some point you would need to take ownership for your career. When Jimmy was talking about me, he mentioned that I had worked in PwC, another Big Four firm. So I'll tell you a bit of a story. When I came back I was out and then came back and I applied for a job in PwC because at the time, if you're a young person, still is a good brand, that's where you want to work. And I finished top of my class in uni, so yes, it was natural I would go there. But I went and I failed my entry test. So I didn't get into PwC. But it didn't hold me down. And I had friends who went in. I celebrated with them. I did all sorts. 8 years later, I would join PwC, but it's by invitation. So you see, I did not let that setback hold me down. But what I did in the meantime was I spent time building myself, improving myself, working on those things that would truly make me marketable. So you were top of your class, but right now you're not working in that blue chip company. The company you're in today, how are you elevating it to blue chip status? So I since moved on from PwC. Today I'm a partner in a global firm. But if I let that setback tell me that, oh, you're not good enough, I wouldn't be here today. So, and all of this, by the way, I didn't know anybody. It wasn't as if I had one uncle, one auntie somewhere. No. Because we all have that somebody must do it for me. I talk about internships a lot. When I was in school and there was a strike, can we please go to the next segment? Thank you. There was a strike. I walked into an ad agency in Ikeja at the time, and I said, you know what? I want a job, blah, blah, blah. This is who I am. I won't get paid. And I worked in that place for 6 months. They didn't pay me a dime. I went every day from Surulere to Ikeja like I had a real job. But you see, that experience over 20 years ago has stayed with me. So too many people, when it comes to mindsets, think that their happiness or their success rests with someone else. And I think we need to change that mindset. As my friend would say, finding a job is a job. God bless my friend Arosa. Now, the first part of your job search is having a strategy. There are many people at the back to interview you, but what is your strategy? You can't just leave yourself open and say, I'll take any job that comes along. Any job is no job. So there has to be a strategy. You need to ask yourself, is it going to be a traditional career or a protean career? I talked about the fact that we cannot all have the same approach or attitude to jobs. So we're all different people, by the way. But the only thing actually common to all of us is our differences. So we're all people, but we have differences, and it should be in the same as choice of a career. The fact that I have done a career, so I'm over 20 years in consulting now, if I add my total consulting experience, and in that same career, I raised 2 children. People will be like, oh my God, how did she do that? That's me. Don't mirror your life after me, because I'm doing what is moving me towards my own purpose. So when you go to the back then, as you listen to the people who are exhibiting, be very clear as to what you want, actually. Don't go after the fact, oh, someone went to this stand, but go to the EY stand, just saying. So do you want a protean career? A protean career is one, essentially, that takes self-control of their career. You're not waiting to join as analyst, senior analyst, manager. So you're not letting the organization decide for you what your career should be. And I tend to think that's the best way to go. Because if you remember that as an individual, you're born with so many skills and so much more. I don't know that it is tenable to really have one company determine everything. Now, don't get me wrong. You can actually have different experiences in one company. But let nobody make you feel bad about going after looking for different experiences that would help you build a career that would help you thrive and live a life of impact. I mentioned values very earlier on. Money is good, but it is not an option to stay with an organization that questions your values. That battle is not worth it. You will pay it in this life and in the afterlife if you mortgage your values. So very important when you're looking for a job. I already talked about the fact that money is not everything too, and it definitely is not the measure of career success. You must be clear in your mind why it is you're looking for a job and what you're planning to do with the job, because it's not just service orientation, very important. Now, how do you find the right job? There's so many options, but I want to dwell on referrals. About 80% of roles that get placed are actually by referrals. So you might have gone through an interview process, you met the MD, blah, 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 but you didn't drop from the sky. They will pick up the phone and say, do you know Lagbaja? What do you think of Lagbaja? Blah, 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 blah. And a lot of people might have aced the interview, but the other details I will touch on briefly are now the things that begin to hold them back. Next slide, please. So just some guidelines as you go to the back. Even though this setting is very relaxed, treat those conversations as you would a regular job interview. It's important to look at people. Maintain body language. When someone compliments your dress, thank you, oh, this one's a very cheap dress, so all those types of things. Because these days, interviews are no longer linear. You have to go with that mindset, that confidence, but at the same time, be humble. Now, if you're going to be doing emails, a lot of people send emails and they're so casual. They use abbreviations people do not understand. You want to use humor, and you've used it wrongly. I have seen instances where that has gone south. If you remember the you smell nice situation, that definitely did not go well for that person. It was such a long, drawn debate on social media. But as you know, if you're err on the side of caution when in doubt. Now, let's talk about some nonverbal cues. I'll just do that quickly. So, I know these days it's all about self-expression. But I think that you need to understand the culture of where you're going. So your fashion sense still is very important. You can't say, oh, because it's in tech, I wore a t-shirt. I remember my colleagues and I had an interview once with some guy who wore a t-shirt. He looked like he just woke up in his PJ. Great guy. But we couldn't see past the t-shirt, honestly. And at the end of the day, we didn't recommend him. When you're also using all caps in the subject of your email, CV of blah, 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 you're shouting at me. And you don't get such liberties to shout at me. I haven't given you a job. So you need to make sure you look at that. Now, this is church, right? And normally we'll say, how is your Christian life? But I want to ask you, how is your social media life? A lot of us don't talk about it, but it's an issue. Me, if I'm meeting you, before I see you, I go and check. Because if you don't put it out there, if you put it out there, it means you want me to see it. Now, some people have a very different persona from who they are and their social media life because they want to be cool. Again, you must ask yourself, what is your why and why are you doing what? Too many people have used their social media life to the detriment of their careers. You can't say you are ethical and open and supportive and you are there attacking people with all kinds of funny language and what have yous. Or, nobody's saying you should not have fun, right? Fun is good. But you do not want to put certain things out there because certain organizations would know that there is no alignment with what they want to do. So, go and audit your social media life the way you audit your Christian life or your religious life, whichever your faith. Very important. Things that you know ultimately are not in line with who you say you are should not be on social media. It's also okay to segment the platforms, the one for the fun stuff and the one for the serious stuff. Let's talk about LinkedIn quickly because that is one of the platforms we have. Now, don't get me started about whether people should be talking about personal things on LinkedIn. I think with work-life integration, the lines are blurred. But at least for people who are looking to get ahead in their careers, there are a few must-dos. One, it should be a professional picture. I'm sorry, I still think you can't be at a party and that's your LinkedIn profile. Maybe I'm old school, but that's what I think. You also cannot have a headline that confuses us. You can't say you're a recent graduate, but I see experts in yada, 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 because if I interview you, all you get is really that first conversation. I would label you a fraud. So it's very important that when we have those experts in blah, 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 it is in line with who and what we have. You also want to make sure that you're using LinkedIn for networking. I get a lot of requests, and I try to accept all requests, but we must remember something. Mentorship is an exchange of value. We don't have a relationship. I've not met you. But I get an email and they remember, mentor me, mentor me, mentor me. Don't get it twisted though. A lot of these people who you say are big boys and girls, we are looking for, a prophetic aspiration, we're looking for that recognition as well. We also learn. So it has to be a two-way street. So you can't wake up one day and say, mentor me. It would be that you have been following me, you have been commenting on my posts, you have been asking me questions, you have been engaging me. That's the way to do it. That's the way to really get top of mind awareness. You can't just badging on someone and say, oh, mentor me or do this. And then you're asking and sending reminders, oh, I need a job. It doesn't work that way. Now, of course, your CV should talk about you. It should position you favorably and tell people how not just... Sorry, next slide, please. So your CV needs to sell you because I've seen instances where a CV has cost someone a job. Great candidate, but the person used pink font. Comic Sans Serif. They put a picture when they didn't ask for picture. In some cases, sadly too, the address was an issue. There are contrary views as to whether you should have it. What I'll say in this room, especially for people who are looking to switch or move ahead, sadly, we use those biases in this part of the world. So the only absolute necessary information is the one I can contact you on. Your email address, your telephone number, make sure they are functional. Please don't put your wife or your brother or your sister's number. It means you're not ready to work. But things like where you stay and all of that, because your father owns the street and is your last name, it's a nice information that can come up when I interview you. But don't say that to me, because if some people are like, how did this person get to a job in VI for Magboro? Forgetting that you might have a friend you can stay with. So let's not knock ourselves out of opportunities. You also want to make sure it's professional generally. And then make sure, well, yes, you're cool, you're funky, you can't use information that is not necessary. Can I just go to the last slide, please? And as you prefer for interviews, please research the company. Nobody ever likes it when you sit before them and you don't know what they do. So even for those at the back, for people who you would like to speak to, make sure you get on your phone. Just use that phone for something else and find out about that company. It's the least we can do because it shows the people there that you actually respect them. The last slide, please. So I just wanted to end with a few reminders because I just have, 1 minute, 48 seconds. So Dr. Seuss, who you should read his story, by the way, very, 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 very important children's writer, labeled dyslexic, was told to never do well, went on to so much great success in the later stages of his life. Very important for anyone who's looking to make changes on their career journey. Read about Dr. Seuss's story, very important. Now, career success is not only monetary terms, and I think I stressed that already. A lot of things define your career, but purpose and impact is the most important. A life of value. Put your outdoor work in order and get your fields ready. After that, build your house. There's a sequence and an order for things for building a career. Yes, today you feel it's not where you should be. I gave you a sense of my story, how I now work and I had the privilege of 2 Big 4 firms. But my first shot, I failed the entry exam. It did not deter me, but I worked on those things that were important. So there are companies you want to work in today. Find out what is important to them. Follow the people who work in those companies. Establish a relationship. Then you have the data, the details that can allow you to approach them. Whatever your hand finds to do, do it with all your might. You can't say that you're waiting for that big job, that top shot job, before you apply yourselves. Because even in the little things, if you don't exhibit diligence, you can't do it when you're given the big things. It doesn't work that way. There's a sequence and an order for things. You also need to think holistically about your career. At some point, we would need to slow down, especially for us women, when you need to focus on the home, building the family and all. That's a noble cause on its own. And at the right time, so long as your skills don't atrophy, it is possible to get back ahead. You want to proactively build your network and strengthen your network across different platforms. I talked about social media. What are we doing with social media? It's okay to laugh and use TikTok, do all of those things, but make sure you are spending a fair amount of the money you're spending on data for constructive things to develop us. We also should not fret about where we should be. If the birds in the air are getting protection, the grass on the fields, over winter they die, they regenerate in summer, then clearly there's a higher power than the one which we see. And we must tap into that higher power all the time. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. I do appreciate the opportunity. And wishing you all the best for the rest of the fair. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Round of applause. Round of applause. Until she leaves the stage, round of applause. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Okay. As she was speaking, I remembered a few years ago when I transited to, move from development to tech. My uncle, I was already a senior manager, by the way, grew fast in tech. My uncle calls me one day and says, what did you study in the university? And I say, biochemistry. He said, yeah. But what do you do? I said, I do program management, blah, blah, blah. He said, what exactly do you do? And I tried to explain to him. He said, don't worry. I know the MD of a particular brewery. He said, I've spoken to him about you. And I will get you a job. And I said, what's the job, sir? He says the job as a graduate trainee. I looked at this man. I said, I employ graduate trainee already in my company. But I didn't say anything. He calls his friend, says, my nephew is here. Please give him a job. And the man was interviewing me for a graduate trainee job. And here was I was like, what is this man saying? That's to say, when she mentioned new jobs and the like, a lot of people do not understand that tech is a what? It's a career, right? And it's that if you're not an engineer, a doctor, and the likes, no one is taking you serious, right? So for me, it was very, very funny to actually just see my uncle telling me that, what exactly are you doing? She mentioned those people on TikTok dancing, making money. People are saying, what exactly are you doing? So if you're here today, you're just like me, starting your career in tech, don't worry. People are asking, what exactly are you doing? Tell them that what? What will you tell them? I'm making money. He's like good. I'm what? At first, I asked my uncle, have I asked you for money before? He said no. But when he didn't know what I was doing, he said, I hope you're not doing, when you say you're in tech, he said, are you doing Yahoo Yahoo? So he didn't understand. Don't worry, if you're like me, don't worry. You can come and meet at the back, and I'll tell you how I was able to move very well in tech. So.
Thank you very much, Abraham. How awesome was that session? Yeah. Was that insightful? Can you please give another round of applause to Lolayeson?
Trust is a currency. Trust is a currency. I took that word. Trust is a currency. An employer wants to know that, can I trust you to do the job? Because some people lie. Experts in data analytics, management, and everything. And I say, how many years are you in your career? 6 months. Experts. Who are you? Consultant training and everything. You come. How many have impacted 1 billion people? But employers want to trust that you're able to do the job.
Fantastic. So we're going to move on very quickly because our time is fast spent.
Yeah.
We're going to move on to the next item on the agenda, and that is the panelist session. So we're just going to go here so that we won't block.
You know, one also, don't mistake us for panelists.
Yes, we're just the anchors. So first of all, we're going to start with our panel moderator. In the person of Pastor Kola Fayemi, we're going to read his profile.
Round of applause. Round of applause
for him.
I'm loading looking for people I want to employ you. Just clap, clap, clap.
Dr. Kola Fayemi, PK as he is fondly called, is a professional lawyer with bias in energy law, information technology, and corporate governance. He is a graduate of law from the Obafemi Awolowo University. He holds a Master of Law degree from the University of Lagos and has just recently concluded his PhD in energy efficiency of telecoms networks from the University of Ibadan. He also holds a certificate in management from Lincoln University of Business and Management and a diploma in innovation management from the International Business Management Institute in Berlin, Germany.
Dr. Kola is passionate about understanding the dynamics of social transformation as influenced by the triad factor of energy, technology, and law. He is a member of the Nigerian Bar Association, Lagos Island chapter, a registered professional of the Financial Reporting Council of Nigeria, a certified compliance officer, fellow of the Institute of Management Consultants, and a fellow of the Global Academy of Finance and Management. Having served in senior management capacity in technology, telecom, multinational organization, with extensive experience in leading teams in commercial legal transaction, regulatory compliance, corporate governance, etc., Kola is now the GM, Legal and Regulatory Service at Smile Communication Limited.
Dr. Kola is a dedicated family man, a God lover, and an intercessor par excellence. He is the global head of the prayer and intercessory ministry of the Elevation Church, the pioneer resident pastor of the Ikorodu Center of the Elevation Church until October 2021, when he was redeployed to pioneer the newly established Ikoyi Center of the Elevation Church. When he is not at work, in church, or researching, he spends his spare time watching football as an ardent fan of Liverpool Football Club. Well, our Liverpool Football Club fans. He is married to his best friend, Tomilola Kolawole Fayemi, and their marriage is blessed with 2 beautiful daughters, Oluwatishe and Oluwa Fikumi, with whom they reside in Lagos, Nigeria.
With a round of applause. With a round of applause, welcome.
Let us welcome our panel moderator
Dr. Kola Fayemi. You're welcome on stage, sir. Wow. Wow. That profile is, you know that there's something here. Okay, so our next panelist is Adora Ikumesi, a prolific speaker, writer, and influencer in the field of human resource management. Adora is the founder of Kedon Consulting Limited, a human resource management consulting firm that specializes in learning and development solutions. She is the author of the self-help book, Change Your Career. Adora has a master's degree in information technology from Cranfield University, UK, a bachelor's degree in economics from the University of Reading, UK, and a diploma in psychology from Middlesex University, also in the UK. She is an accredited global professional in human resource and a board trustee for the Society of Human Resource Management Nigeria. Adora is a trained coach and experienced facilitator, providing coaching services to individuals and organizations.
A talented and multi-skilled professional, her experience spans the IT, telecoms, consulting industries, with current focus on transforming human resource management practices in Nigeria. Prior to founding Kendo Consulting, she headed HR transformation at Transnational Corporation PLC, where her primary focus was on aligning human capital with organizational strategy. Prior to joining Transcorp, she headed the Human Capital Group of InterSwitch Limited. She was responsible for developing and executing the group's HR strategy and embarked on several development projects, notably the design of sustainable compensation and reward strategy. You see the way I'm saying it, it's even heavy in my mouth.
Her consulting experience spans several years at Philip. Okay, I think you've read that part, right? At Philip Consulting. Wow, we have heavy panelists. Her consulting experience spans several years at Philip Consulting, where she led process improvement teams as part of several restructuring projects. Other areas of focus include strategic alignment, change management, and team building. Her telecoms experience expands years working for Nokia UK as a design engineer. Working extensively on numbers of projects, she was responsible for the specification and design of the first multimedia and Java-supported Nokia mobile phones. Adora has written several published articles for a number of national newspapers. She's hosted several seminars, spoken at several conferences, facilitated numerous training programs. She enjoys writing, reading, technology, public speaking, and creating opportunities for individuals and organizations to develop their potential and realize their dream.
With a thunderous round of applause, can we please welcome Adora Ikwemesi?
Round of applause.
A thunderous round of applause.
When I'm hearing this profile, I'm like, wow.
All right, our next panelist is Mr. Adedamola Giwa. Adedamola Giwa is a digital financial services executive with Pan-African leadership experience in business strategy, business development, market development, product management, service management, innovation and solution strategy. He is currently the managing director of JumiaPay, the fintech subsidiary of the Jumia Group. Before this, he worked at Verve International as the group head of digital and new business for Africa, where he led the digitization, innovation, and new business strategy for Verve across Africa. At Verve, he also led business development for Nigeria, East and Southern Africa regions, and oversaw Verve's Pan-Africa expansion and business development across 22 African countries.
Before joining Verve International, Adedamola worked at Stymic IBTC Bank PLC, where he also led various teams in digital banking, electronic business, service management, business operations, stockbroking, investment banking, retail banking. He is also a fellow of the Chartered Accountant and a fellow of the Chartered Institute of Bankers. He also has numerous certifications in agile leadership, agile coaching and practices, IT service management, Lean Six Sigma and project management. He also holds a BSc in economics from the University of Lagos, Nigeria, and a master's degree from the Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife. With a round of applause, ovation for our next speaker, our panelists. Please clap, 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 clap. See the seats.
A thunderous round of applause.
Just clap to the seats. Our next panelist is Oluyemi Adeosun. He's a top-performing and skilled human resource executive, a researcher with over 16 years of experience across high-profile industries, including power, oil and gas, telecommunication, broadcasting, advertising, academia, consulting, and volunteer work. He also has a professional experience, vast range of skills within training and development, organizational strategy development, business partnership, change management, employee relationship management, and administrative expert HR role. With a round of applause, let's welcome Oluyemi Adeosun. Until they sit, round of applause until they sit. Thank you. And we also have our panelists. We don't need to introduce.
We also invite
our keynote speaker.
Lola Eson.
Yes,
to also
join the panel. So, round of applause till she sits. And if you have questions, you can just beckon to the ushers. There are white slips with them, and you can actually put your questions down.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Everyone joining us online also. You're welcome to the panel session. Good morning to the panelists. Thank you for being here today. And we're really excited that you're here. We have a repertoire of experience, on the panel today. Now, I'm going to ask that you got to where you are today, just as quickly as possible. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Well, just to say, I'm not there yet. I've not blown yet. I'm still
Yes.
So well, like I mentioned, I'm a proud graduate of University of Ibadan, where I did my first degree. And after that, I got the opportunity of working in the World Health Organization in Switzerland. I was a media officer, a junior media officer. Great opportunity being in Geneva. It was fantastic, but I talked about purpose and impact. I just didn't feel I was doing what I wanted to do at the time. So moving back to Nigeria meant taking a 4,000% pay cut at the time to join a Nigerian consulting firm, which is where I met Adora. So we've been friends from way back.
Right.
And that was really where I learned it all. There was a lot of, because we were not like the international firms at the time, a lot of the work had to be done, real grunt work, but we learned a lot. We were friends. We also had values that were driving us forward. I did that for about 8 years, and I felt, okay, I want to go and test whether I really know what I've been telling clients all this while. So I went to Cornerstone Insurance as head of HR. Fantastic experience, gave me a chance to do industry. And then one day I said to myself, perhaps it's time now to try again, moving back to consulting, but this time around I want a global firm. Right. And the rest of it is history.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Adora, let me come to you. I'm still talking about background, and I think that it is quite important because if you miss the background, the foundation, it is very highly likely that many things would go wrong. So would you talk to us about those starting days? How did you sweat through it? What were the learning points and some of the biggest lessons that had helped you today?
Okay, thank you for that. The thing about career is you can start your story at after university, or you can start it at before. Sometimes, to be honest, I say my work ethic started in secondary school. My career journey actually started in secondary school.
Right.
Yes. So I would say that, I was the kind of person, I was raised in a family where you had to work during the holidays. And it's not because, I'm not being funny, but it wasn't because we were poor. It was just the way we were raised. So when I see graduates unemployed, or I see people now during the ASU strike and they are not working, or they are not doing anything with their time, or it's a problem because that's where the work ethic really started. So the truth is I was working from when I was about 16 to all the way till before I started uni. So the truth is that by the time I actually started university, my CV had a couple of jobs already. I wouldn't, that's the honest truth. But I can start from, yes, I was somebody, my background, anyone who, if you read my profile, my background is actually in IT. My early career was in IT, but that was not really what I wanted to do. I did IT for the money. And, Lola has said a lot about, don't go into things for money. But I think we'll talk about that.
Yeah, we will.
Money is important, very important, especially early in your career. But it's not the be-all and end-all. But you need money. That's what I would say. So my background is IT. And, I think we can, as we talk along, you might find out how for career changers here, you can find out how I transitioned to HR later on.
We would actually come to that in terms of people who would love to transit, from career and all of that. Let's talk about you, Oluyemi, and let's talk about you and, how is it, in terms of when you find young people, today trying to make a headway, what would you say, were the things that you learned, when you started your career?
Okay, so thank you so much, sir, for this opportunity. Let me just start from the very beginning. I got a 2-2, second class lower, in the university. I remember during my service here, I saw a job advert by Mobile. The first line, 2-1 in numeric sciences. I was about to move to the next advert. You know why? I got a 2-2. But I moved to the next line. Then I saw a 2-2 with a master's can apply. It dawned on me there and then that if I didn't do well enough in the past, I can always remedy today with something.
Right.
That's one key thing I'd like to quickly say. Now, when I finished my master's, because I wanted to be able to apply it to the mobiles of this world, I still didn't get a job. But I knew I wanted to do HR. Then I approached the company, General Solutions, owned and managed them by Adeolu Akinyemi. Some of us might know him. And I went to meet him in the office. And I said, sir, I would like to volunteer. He said, what do I mean explicitly? I said, I would like to work with you in your firm for free. He said, wow, that's inspiring. He said, he would have loved to hire me, but there is no work tool. I said, what do you mean by work tool? He said, no laptop to work with. I said, sir, during my service here, I bought a desktop. Can I bring it this evening? I brought it that evening.
So you brought your own desktop?
Yes. The desktop, the CPU, everything. I started work the next day. Funny enough, they paid me 30,000 naira at the end of the first month. Let me just say this too about my background. So I've had the privilege of knowing Damola Giwa since 1999. I went to visit him in 2002 in Dusema in Castina. I went to visit him. In his room, he had a complimentary card, IBTC. I said, Damola, what is this on your card? He said, when I'm praying, I pray that after service I'll get a job in IBTC. 8 months later, I went to visit him in IBTC.
Wow. Please, let's celebrate him. All right, Mr. Damola, Liam has let the cat out of the bag.
Yeah, I think it's just a combination of things.
Yes.
So he's spoken about the power of vision. Again, you can get sunk into all that is going on, the economy, the politics, and everything, and then you start to question whether you can really make any headway. You know, so I always encourage people have that strong vision. You know, and that's what he spoke about. Every morning I wake up, I look at the complimentary card on the wall. I see somebody's name on it. I always like to give credit to him. His name is Biodun Olorin Inshallah because he gave me his card. All right, so I put it on the wall, and then I see my name on it. And then I got to the level where everybody that served with me then in Castina kind of knew that I was going to work in IBTC. Because I kept saying it, that was where I was going. Where did I learn that? I have to give credit also. Pastor Sam Adeyemi. So I was attending Daystar at that time. So there was that consciousness that you speak to your future and everything. But beyond that, you can't just be speaking to something that is empty.
I was coming to that.
You must do the work.
Right.
You must do the work. You must do the work. So I can trace back my career, as she said also, to secondary school. And it started with failure. I finished my WAHEC, and again, I didn't. You know, you have to have 6 credits, including maths and English, you know. So I had P7 in English. I couldn't proceed at that time. I was one of those students that people had a lot of high expectations, but, you know, I just didn't do well, and there was a lot of disappointment and everything. And one of our aunties just came in at that particular time and said, these your boys are just sitting at home. There's something called ATS. It's actually Accounting Technician Scheme. At that time, I thought they were talking about ATS. Now, what will I go and do for 8 years? So that's why I started ICANN before university.
Right.
It started because I failed. By the time I started the ICANN, I also did not pass JAM, so I went to Polytechnic, Federal Polytechnic Ede. I was very sad going in there, but because I went to Federal Polytechnic Ede also, I was in proximity to ICANN centers in Oshogo. So I went to ICANN Center. That's where I met Biodun, who was coming to lecture, who eventually gave me his card. So everything ties together. That's why I'm trying to encourage someone. You will find out that in your journey, you might not understand why you're going through one path or the other. But as long as you keep the focus and as long as you do the work really is now that I was in the Polytechnic, and then in ND2, I gained admission to University of Ilorin. That's where I met Oluyemi. Guess what? I didn't drop any. I was doing ICANN, I was doing ND, and I was doing 100 level in Ilorin.
Very powerful,
I was
man,
traveling from Ede to Oshogbo, Oshogbo to Ilorin. I was almost like a dead man walking, you know, but it all pays off now.
Right.
Hard work.
Right. Thank you. Thank you. Please celebrate our panelists. All right. So you have heard their background story, and you know one thread connects them all together, and that is service. That is hard work. Adora spoke about it also. Yemi spoke about how he volunteered to work without salary, and then eventually they ended up paying him. Lola spoke about how she also didn't make the cut at her first shot at consulting. She wasn't deterred. Perhaps someone is listening to us today. You are online or you are in the room. You might have failed before. Something might not have gone right. The way you planned. I would like for you to draw inspiration, from what has been said now, just so that you are able to know that it is part of the process. Unpleasant experiences, disappointments, they are part of what God would use, to give you a beautiful story, right? So let's drill into it a little bit more. Lola, while you were speaking, you spoke about some skills that we should begin to look at as we in the changing world of work. I'd like for you to talk about the changing world of work. What does it really mean? Is it really the case that there are certain skill sets that we should begin to learn and gather, or everything can continue to be business as usual? What advice would you give to someone who is looking for a job now? What kind of skill set particularly should they begin to drill into?
Thank you for that. So, I mean, I think the fact that we've got people joining us online is a testament to the fact that it's no longer business as usual. So in the now normal, you can't thrive on unilateral skills, and I think I talked about that. So you might have been, by training, an engineer, but your interests are to work with people. While engineering solves problems for people, you could actually easily, comfortably settle in a career in HR. So the first thing is to, one, I like to say, for me, the most important skill first is to stay curious. If you stay curious, then you would not settle on what you know as being the ultimate. Because I was best in my graduation or whatever can only take you so far. The second thing is relationships. It's a very connected world right now. And I think, as we can hear from all the stories, I've known Adora from my first days in consulting. So it's all about networks. So we've got to network appropriately. So you notice I haven't talked about any hard skills yet. No computing, no all of that. Because those are things that now, with learning being commoditized, you can learn those things easily. But when it comes to actually creating exchanges of value, i.e. relationships, i.e. a mindset that can acquire and work with so much, it requires time investment, which is why I asked the question. These very powerful devices we're holding in our hands, what are we doing with them? It can do a lot more beyond what we're doing for it right now, with it right now. Thank you.
Thank you. Adora, let me ask you, she spoke about adding value or creating value. Many times I find that people shy away from work in terms of going the extra mile, rolling up their sleeves and getting their hands dirty. Yet everyone wants a promotion, everyone wants to be on the fast track. What would you say to someone who is in that kind of space? We want a good life, but how do we get recognition? How do we get promotion vis-a-vis value addition?
I think one thing that everyone spoke and had in common was how much they put in.
Yeah.
And it's a bit worrying when you see people not, they want the outcome, but they don't want to follow the process. You can't add value without inputs. Value is an outcome, right?
Value is an outcome.
It's an outcome, but there has to be an input to get an outcome. The work has to be done. There are no shortcuts when it comes to, like your work. Especially when some people, sometimes you have people with the attitude of, I can't kill myself, or, I'm going to, they are not treating me well, and when I go somewhere else, I'll start behaving myself. If you're somebody who is really, really dependent on the way people treat you, to me, you're just losing out. Because passion is about, putting yourself and making a lot of sacrifices. And it worries me, especially in the Christian community, when, if you say, like, you look unto Jesus, the whole life of Jesus is about the passion of Christ. And passion is sacrifice. There is no thing. And passion is death. Okay? I'm not saying you should go and die on your job. But when you're saying, I can't kill myself, remember that Jesus died. So your job is a passion. And I'm sorry, but it almost kills you. He just told us. He almost died. Ilorin Oshogbo, I'm sure, Lola, we can find moments when we almost died. That's what passion does to you. But let me tell you, when you see passionate people, they are the ones who shine. You cannot shine without passion. You cannot fulfill purpose without passion. So if you're doing your work dispassionately wherever you are, the truth is that you can never live a life of purpose or fulfillment, because you are not fulfilling what you came to this world to do. Because whatever your purpose is, it must pain you, you must sacrifice, and it must hurt.
Thank you. Please celebrate her. Celebrate her. Wow. That is very beautiful. Thank you, Adora. Thank you. Oluyemi, let me come to you. While Adora was speaking, she mentioned something about, being passionate. The people who got into a line of work or into a career that they don't enjoy. So they go to work every day, carrying a burden. Every time it is a Sunday, by Sunday evening, their heart is beating fast because they think about Monday. I'm sure some people can testify, to that kind of work. How would you advise, someone, who is in that kind of space, vis-a-vis being passionate?
So thank you so much for that very important question. Let me say this quickly, that for things we love doing, it does not mean there are things about it that we don't dislike. I'll say that again. No matter what you love doing, so if you love doing ice cream, when you take it to a certain point, there will be pain involved. Get this clearly. Now, everybody has different threshold for pain. You need to note that. I know people who are self-employed, and when you say, why are you self-employed? They will say, oh, it's easier. That's not true. When you transit from employment to self-employment, you will realize that your boss at work may sometimes respect 8 to 5. A customer will not respect 8 to 5. So we need to get this clearly. They say the pastor is greener at the other side. So are you willing to make that sacrifice? Now, that is not to excuse for things that border around mental trauma, but we need to up our game, our threshold. Don't jump the ship at the slightest discomfort.
Well, from an HR perspective, would you love to say something, about that?
So, I think you've done a good job summing it, but that's the truth. There actually are no easy organizations.
There are no easy organizations.
There are no easy organizations. There's blood, sweat, and tears everywhere. But you have to define your why, and it goes back to what we've all said here about your purpose, your passion, the impact. The funny thing is, there's absolutely also no organization that pays you the highest, because the joy of a new paycheck is just 3 months.
Say that again. The joy of a new paycheck is just 3 months. Why is that so?
Well, somehow, I don't know, but your standard, your lifestyle always rises to meet your income. Even when you invest, you trap. Things that were not before, you would now, it's just how it is, right?
Right.
Which is why you should also wait your time, because a lot of us see, and with all sense of humility, you see some things today now that you have in dozens. And sense of humility and gratitude is to remember that time when it was your prayer point. And never lose that. And even if it doesn't matter where you get to in your life, once you still have that sense of gratitude, then we would always be accountable to grace, which is why when we get to a position of influence, we remember where we're coming from and we don't stifle others, because that's also another thing about a career. You pay it forward when you get ahead.
Wow. Please celebrate Lola. Thank you. Very beautiful thoughts, very beautiful. insights, coming out, this afternoon from this panel session. Damola, let's come to you. You run an organization, you head an organization, what kind of attitude, would you love to see? Now, we are still talking about those soft issues. Yeah, because, and Lola, I agree with you perfectly that, you see, these are the distinguishing factors, these are the factors that determines, whether or not someone would make a headway, in a career line or not. What are the kind of attitude you want to see, in your workforce? There is an organization that I know, one of their tagline is, the can-do spirit. So when you are going to hire someone into your team, into your organization, Jumia Pay, for instance, what would you be looking for?
Okay, so I think Lola's highlighted all of those, really. It's like, I can just take a slide and use it as a checklist, but really, it's really around, the sense of ownership.
The sense of ownership.
The sense of ownership. She mentioned something about being an entrepreneur where you are in a place and you feel like you are, it's not like in Yoruba they say, Ojaka, Ogata Kuta, or something like that. So it doesn't work that way because that can only take you maybe a few weeks. You will be found out. Because the competition for that space that you're sitting on is very stiff. So there's a sense of ownership that people bring to work. And when you have that kind of sense of ownership, it unleashes your creativity. Because you now go beyond, this is my job. You start thinking around, how can the business succeed? How can the business move forward? So people always complain to say, oh, this one is the Oga's favorite, But the Oga himself, except for some maybe exceptional cases, but most Ogas are not fools. You will gravitate towards the person that is delivering the goods, the person that when you say, give me 2, just like Jesus Christ said that they say you should go a mile, you go like 2 or you go 10, The person that goes the extra mile, that is always reaching out for the good of the organization, you like those people. And there are other things that have been mentioned around emotional intelligence. You don't want the person that finds it difficult, is very intelligent but cannot work with any other person. Very intelligent, but it's always causing issues, cancerous. So where everybody knows that this is the problematic person. You don't want those kind of people in the team because we understand that it's the power of the team working together that helps us to achieve a lot. So really it's around ownership, it's around that can-do spirit. That's something we say in Jumia to say that you don't need a title to become a leader.
You don't need a title to become a leader. In other words, lead from where you are.
Lead from where you are. So everybody is encouraged to be an influencer. So when you see something is wrong, you raise your hand and say, okay, this thing is wrong. How do we solve it? And you take ownership too.
And you take ownership, for it. Right. Thank you. Adora, let me come to you. So there was something that we had mentioned, when we started the panel session, and you particularly, and interestingly, I also noted that in my series of questions that I was going to ask. And that's the part around money, passion, and impact. Money, passion, and impact. Where do we draw the balance? You would speak. Lola would also, give us some thoughts around that.
I'm happy we're talking about money. Okay, because, the truth is, when it comes to your career must serve you. Your career must serve you. That's the first thing. And if you can look at it from even an economic perspective, or you can even look at it from a spiritual perspective. There was one of the definitions that Lola had, and it talked about, your career is self-expression. It's the highest form of self-expression. If you're a Christian, if you notice, you read the Bible, you see that people are referred to by their profession. The doctor, the carpenter, even Jesus, the carpenter's son. Not Jesus, the carpenter's son. You hear people being referred to by their profession. Note, even if you didn't note it before, what's your profession? Your career must give you financial fulfillment as well. Don't make that mistake, because career is the way that you serve the world. That's what your career is. It's your profession, and your profession is the way you serve the world. The other children of God, that's how you serve them, by being a doctor, by being an HR professional, by being a CEO. That's your service to the world. So it's very key that you do not become a liability. You choose a career that can give you fulfillment, growth, and financial stability. If you get growth, you get fulfillment, but you do not make money from it, please, you are in the wrong career. Because you can't be a liability. And when I say money, I don't mean you must be private jetting. No. And remember, like Lola mentioned, we're at different levels. Me and my friend, one of our good friends, Dr. Okizo, we're talking, you know, you don't need that much. It's because people are greedy. We were analyzing it that when you look at how much some of these, sorry to say, politicians, when we look at how much corruption, it's just greed. So, but please, it doesn't mean you're going to say, I'm going to chase this profession and I can't feed myself. I'll be in a box room. I will be, no. That's not how you follow fulfillment. So the balance is in being, like, looking inwards. Also, asking yourself, how much do I really need to be fulfilled? Because if you're miserable, you can't be fulfilled. I mean, we have to be honest. If you can't pay your bills, end of the month, they are kicking you out of the house, what kind of profession will you say you're chasing? You understand? It's crazy. So, why I'm saying this is that some people, you need to understand, and I give myself as an example. The first career I chose was purely financial. I had purpose in my mind. I'd already I wanted to study communications. Actually, I wanted to study communications. I'd already filled my master's degree forms and everything. But I went to a party with young people. I was about 21. And they started talking about somebody that was earning, at that time I was in the UK, that was earning £70,000. This was year 2000. My ear just went, eh? Who is the person? Please, what are they doing? What kind of job? They said it's IT. Trust me, at that time, we didn't even know what IT. I was like, IT, what does IT mean? They said information technology. That was how me and my friend, we went home and we changed our course. I'm being honest. And I won't lie to you, before I finished my course, my master's, I had a job. Right? Now, what did that job do for me? At a very young, I can't lie, I made money. Of course, like she said, it didn't take 3 months now before I was tired. You know, you get tired of money, I'm telling you. But one thing it offered me was money gives you options. In a couple of years, 3 years of doing IT, I had saved enough money to quit and go and find purpose. So please, I beg, we do it in different ways. You might find money first. It's good to pursue money because money gives you options. Don't listen to anybody. When you are broke, no one will look at you. So you can do something for the money so that you can get options. And then you call the shots. But money is important.
Right.
Please.
Thank you. Lola, some thoughts on that also.
The money part got a very loud applause. Loud head so fast. So I think for me, money is a tool. It's a tool. So if you notice when I was talking, I did say, be very mindful. So don't say you're not going to make money, because at some point there are bills to pay and all of that. But if you have been so fortunate to then make a lot of it, you must send back that elevator for a lot more people to come up. And that is the problem I kind of have with rich, when I say rich people. There isn't a lot of people paying it forward. And that's the only way we can create wealth, when we create and support other people. So in this room, we would have billionaires, we would have people, but don't remember, or don't forget rather, the humble beginnings when it was tough. And use that passion and that fire to bring more people up. I think it's terribly lonely when you are in a place and you are the only one who is doing well and everyone's doing. Some people like that, but I don't think that's the way to live. You will constantly be in fear of Awaye, the village, they are doing me, all of those things. And if you remember that nature does not allow for vacuum, if you're going to be the only rich one, then chances are there's probably going to be some challenges somewhere which you still need people to help you fill. And we can look through society to see all sorts. So money is a tool it's good to go after it, but I still say pick purpose and impact. And then I want to re-emphasize, there is no point staying in a job or in a role or in a career that puts you at variance with your values. The punishment is both in this life and beyond.
Thank you, thank you. Please celebrate our guests one more time. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Oluyemi, I'm going to come to you now, and I would ask you this, and then also I would seek Adora's input as well, because she has experienced this firsthand. So from an HR perspective, what advice would you give to someone who is in the room today, who is thinking of transiting from one career to another, from law to tech, from the humanities, literature, history, to data analytics, and many times, we get stuck. You just don't even know how to go about it. So from your experience managing people, leading in HR, what would you say, to people like that who are here in this room today?
Okay.
Or who may be joining
very
us
important
online?
question, and I'll give a few random thoughts around this. First and foremost, be sure you want to transit. I know what I'm saying. You need to have a complete, total, holistic, robust resolve to transit. Transition is not easy. It's like a plane that is about to take off. 2, you must be ready to exert force. I'll say that again. You must be willing to exert force. Force on yourself. External force. What do I mean? For example, you are in point A, you want to move to point B. What are the critical skills? Emphasis on critical skills required in point B. So do a self-assessment, like a competency assessment. What is your gap? What you can do today and what you need to be able to do to prosper or excel in point B. Draw a roadmap. Is it 3 months, 6 months, or 2 years? Aggressively pursue it. So it may be a combination of factors. 1, certification or education or networking, and then being active in the networks. Networking and being active in the networks. When you have done all that, you will now need to aggressively begin to explore options. In other words, shoot your shot. And when you are shooting your shot, sometimes it may be like our situation when she left World Health Organization and came to a consulting firm and took a pay cut. It is not every time you transit that you will transit and go higher financially or be at par. Sometimes you may go lower. Do you need that transition badly enough? If you get at par or higher or lower, not a problem. But you need to also approach it with an open mind. I remember some few years ago, I badly wanted to enter the oil and gas industry. I was a senior manager, and I applied for an assistant manager job. Look at that. Assistant manager, manager, senior manager. Senior manager applied for an assistant manager job. I got it. The MD looked at it and said, raise this guy to a manager. But I had a resolve. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Please celebrate him, thank you. Wow. I like that. If you are going to transit, you have to do it with force. In other words, your resolve must be strong. And that perhaps might be because there will be obstacles on the road. You're leaving the known to the unknown. So many things would not add up. But if that force, if that resolve and determination is there, what you're saying is that you are almost likely going to succeed. And Adora, let's come to you.
Thank you. What I would say is, and it's interesting because I think this is the first chapter of my book. It starts with a vision, which is, and when he gave his story, so the first chapter is actually starts with a vision. A vision is a mental picture of a future destination. A lot of people here, they struggle because there's no vision. When you don't have a vision, you don't know where you're going. If you didn't put, like some of you came here by public transport, some people came here via Google Map. If you don't put your destination, your taxi cannot take you there, or you won't know what bus to take. At least no one ended up in Badagry. Why? Because you had a vision of where you were coming. That's the same thing with your career. You need to be very clear where you're going. That's the first thing I ask people. Where do you want to go? That is the first thing. When you're sure where you want to go, set a timeline if you want to transit. Don't give yourself, some people they're not ready. When you are ready, you have a timeline. If you're leaving it till whenever, sorry, but God will do it. I'm not saying God will not do it, but if you leave things too vague, nothing is happening. Set a timeline. If it's a year you give yourself, then set a timeline. Then, now, what happens within that timeline is your investment. There is one definition of career that says, career is a long life investment in your work life. One of the biggest failures I see in people with a career is they do not want to invest in it. Because they believe work is where they go and earn money. They don't realize that work is where you go to invest. The biggest life changes in my career have always been after an investment in it. And please, you need to make that investment. It's your career. The people who don't progress in their careers are the people who wait for the firm to train them and to invest in them. I'm sure everyone here can attest. The biggest investments in your career, when did they come after? Please, some of us, we admire people. Go and ask them their secret sauce. I don't know, it's an open secret. They make investments in their career. And when I mean investments, there is no, I'm not being vague. They spend money. Serious money. If you're here now and you've never invested, and I'm not talking about, sorry to say, not that 2K is not money. But imagine, some of you are, you've bought land, right? To you, that's an investment. Some people here have bought a car. Well, I don't know, we can talk about whether a car is an investment or not. The biggest investment you will make in yourself is an investment in knowledge. You're looking for interest rates? There is no bigger interest rates than the one you can get from an investment in knowledge. If you've never set aside some money, serious money that pays you for your career, you have not yet started. Everyone you admire who has progressed to a level that you wish and desire, that's their secrets. I'm exposing all of you now. I'm exposing everybody here. That's what they do. Spend your money on yourself. You can never lose out. Never. But if you don't spend money, or you're following some of these people, and you're hoping that the free nuggets they give will help you, Lila, it's not going to help you, nothing. Spend your money. Pay, right? But just know where you pay, because these days there are all sorts of people ready to take your money for no value. But please, invest in yourself, and you will see and reap the rewards.
A round of applause for our panelists. Awesome thoughts, coming out this morning. Wow. All right, we will take some questions as we get along in the panel session. If you're joining us online, please drop your comments, drop your questions into the chat room of whatever platform you're joining us from, and we will take those comments as we go along. Damola, let me come to you. I have a question for you. I have a question. Someone says, as a young lawyer, a youngish lawyer. Serious. I know that learning and exposure is necessary for my growth. However, my current place of work with a SAN, an SAN, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, that is a senior lawyer here in Nigeria, for those of us joining us online, it says that experience is becoming extremely toxic. Salary deductions, insults, and extreme frustration have become a part of my work life. How would you advise me in this kind of scenario?
All right, so whoever sent that question, first is to say, I empathize with you. I think if we really had time, all of us would tell you some circumstance in our career when it looked like they sent the devil and they packaged him with a suit and they then made the or her your boss, yes. And then you have to wake up every morning and you have to live with that person. Yeah. One thing is this, I think it was Bishop T.D. Jakes that preached a message of I think like 10 rules of living in a toxic environment. You can go and find it or Google it online, you know. But one thing that you need to do is that we need to try as much as possible to not allow, you know, it's difficult, that's why I'm struggling to say it. But you must be able to work in an environment and take in all of those things, but don't take them in, you know, where you try to ensure that what do I want to get here? I want to be exceptional. I want to do my work. If the person is toxic, you know that, okay, it's just temporary. As I'm speaking before you here, I've experienced it. I left banking after years of tough period, you know. But what I would say is this: if you remain focused, if you're giving your best to it, it will pay off eventually. God is always the judge, and nobody competes, nobody actually fights excellence for too long. Yeah. So if the boss is against you, but if you raise your game and you are exceptional, at some point they will come back and every other thing. So I'm just saying that endure it for the joy set before you.
Right. Okay. Lola, do you agree? I see your face, you know, maybe from an HR perspective, you're a bit concerned for that person. She actually put something here. She said that sometimes I feel like killing my boss. I feel like killing my boss. He said, do I tough it out there or do I move?
So while tough times are peculiar to most organizations, well, yeah, the tough times everywhere, not most. But what I would say is, I firmly believe that you should not stay on in a place that is at variance with your values. It affects everything else. So while that is the bread you have right now to eat the beans, you must begin to work on those other things that make you marketable somewhere else. Because when you wallow in the pain, it begins to affect you. It begins to show up when you go to the next interview. You may be able to answer the question, why do you want to go? See it in your body language. I talked about body language. So there must be places. So you're working with this one son and you were told that's BL. There are, of course, firms that you're aspiring to. Begin to look out for those firms and see what they are like, what they look for. And then I also believe nobody's placenta is buried anywhere. That's just the honest truth. I also know for a fact, and I've experienced that sometimes when you're in this deep pain, it is because something big is on the offing. And I know that I'm saying this from experience. So you might have to bear it. But make sure when you're bearing it, as he said, you are also learning to deflect. There's a filter so it doesn't become who you are.
There's an exit plan.
I empathize with you.
Also, there's an exit plan that you have to put in place. And
just to add something also, there are some scriptures that you bring into things like this for those of us that are Christians also. You know, when Jesus says, pray for your enemy, do good to those who hurt you, those who despisefully use you. You know, this thing work even in career. You can't allow yourself to be offended, no matter what that thing is. So the person is sowing negativity, but you're sowing positivity. And that is the way where that thing then becomes an open door to the next phase. But if you enter into it and it's, I do me, I do you, then you might just be in that environment for too long.
All right, thank you. Thank you. Please, a round of applause for our panelists. All right, so panelists, we will do this. I would love for us to touch as many questions as possible. So short and sharp, short and sharp. Let's go. All right, let's come to you. So this question says, how does one get back to the workforce being out of work for a while? I'm speaking about 5 to 6 years, you know, of being out of employment. And this is because I needed to look after my family, you know. So how would you... Okay, all right. Adora has, you know, a very, very good experience, you know, along that line. Okay, Adora, shoot.
Sorry, I want to answer this one because it's women. It's our issue. And I think it's something we need to address.
Yes.
I think Lola and I both have families and we have managed to maintain our careers. Now, of course, I used to have a friend. I'll use a story. I'm answering the question. I used to have a friend who used to tell me, you know, I mean, she has about 4 boys, and she used to tell me, Adora, I admire you. This was before I got married and, you know, had my own family. She said, I admire you. Look at what you've done. Look at how much you've done in your career. And I used to tell her, well, I have what I have, but you have what you have. This is what you did with your time. We've both done something with our time. But let me tell you something. because you are raising a family does not mean that your career must stop. And this is something I really want to say to women. Your skills, and that's why I talk about investment. The future of work, the now of work is about skills. You must have skills. I'm sorry, but looking after a family is not a full-time. It shouldn't take away your profession. Even the women in the Bible, they still have their whatever they are doing to make an income. Because the Proverbs 31 woman, she's working, and we hear about her family.
Yeah.
She's not working in an office. She might be working on her computer today. She might be working from home. She might have a shop. She's doing something. I am sorry. Never ever put yourself in a situation where you do not have any financial income and you're depending on a man. That is the worst thing you can do for yourself, no matter how great your husband is. I'm sorry. And I say this because it's painful. You know why it's painful? I listen to women on the radio calling every day. I know you don't have to be an abused woman, but money gives you options. Money gives you options, and never ever anyone who tells you stop. So I'm sorry you stopped, but never stop. Keep working. So how do you get back? You need to invest in your skill sets. Decide the career you want, right? And go and learn, go and study. You don't have to go anywhere. In that same house, with those same children, those same babies, when they sleep, stay up at night. Go and learn a skill that you will be doing at home. These days, you don't have to leave. We're so lucky now. You don't have to leave your house. So find work that you can make flexible around your children, right? And invest in that type of work. But never, skills. And that's why I say you must pay. You must invest, go and learn, work. And that is the work. So this person now, don't be thinking of going back to a workplace or an organization. Get a skill first. Because when you have a skill, you can either decide to work for yourself or still go back and apply for work. But nobody is going to, it's going to be very difficult for an employer to invest you in when you have a gap. But when they see that you have skills, then you're going to be more marketable to them. So she needs to go and decide what she wants and then go and invest. If it's a boot camp or a fast track program, she needs to, all those years, she needs to catch up. Okay?
Right.
That's the first thing I'll say.
Thank you. Celebrate our panelists, please. Thank you. Right. Some interesting questions here, and I'm just going to direct this to you, Lola. This person says, I'm sure of wanting to be a professor. But the challenge I have is that there is no money in education. As an educator currently, but I want to transit to another career, to HR, to management, HR. But I'm kind of scared if I will be good at it. Lola?
So the first thing is, educationists make all other careers possible.
Is what?
Educationists make all other careers possible.
Okay.
So the challenge with this opinion is a mindset thing. Because you can make a lot of money from education. My first slide when I had my presentation up said that in the next 8 years, the largest company in the world is going to be an educational company. It's also not by chance that content is the fastest growing profession of choice. And what is content? Exchange of knowledge and insight. So for this person, please be a prof. One of the COVID vaccines came out of a professor, the one out of Europe. I think it's which one? Moderna. Moderna is by a professor. So please, the fact that the current circumstances look a certain way doesn't mean there's no money. I know how much I'm paying in school fees. Yes. I know how the owners of those schools live. So don't get me started. Please, your mindset needs to change. Find what it is you want to use. Use digital to deliver differently. But go after your ambition. And sorry, I want to address this HR being a dumping ground. It's getting offensive, frankly.
The person says he's looking for money. HR, is there no money in HR?
So? There's money everywhere. There's money in Akara. Anyway, I stop here. I digress. But please, seek your education. There's money there, but adjust your mindset.
All right. Yemi, you want to take this?
Yeah, quickly. So let me say this. There is fantastic money in education. Now, what you need to know is that if you are exceptional in anything, there is money there. But if you are mediocre anywhere, you will struggle. I'm going to Kenya on Monday for 1 week, all expense paid. Education. Please, please, please. I have 31 published papers. You want to be a professor? How many papers have you published? If you can do the work, the reward will chase you.
If you can do the work, the reward will chase you. Please appreciate our guests. I'm going to come to you again. This question. This person says, I have lost a sense of direction. I knew what I want. I thought I knew what I wanted in life. I need help. Secondly, I've been working in the oil and gas sector for 9 years now. No growth and very unhappy. I tried applying for jobs, but I'm getting lesser pay or no positive feedback. Honestly, I'm very unhappy with lots of disappointment.
So again, I empathize with you in this current situation. It's special, unique, but let me say this, it's not common to you. Growing up, I'm one of those people that did not always know what they wanted to do. But I got a secret, which is an open secret, that whatever I'm doing right now, if I put in my very best into what I'm doing right now, it will birth new opportunities and new options. Now, I understand you've been in a sector for 9 years, and it looks like you are not making progress. You are sending your applications out. Maybe this is the time to invest. Let me ask you, I wish I could meet you one-on-one. Do you have a coach? Reach out to her. Pay her, don't do free coaching. Reach out to her. If you sit with a coach for 3 months...
She doesn't have money.
Oil and gas, she's not poor. Okay, so invest in yourself, study. What are the other oil and gas professionals in your space doing? For example, go and check the top 10 people in your profession in oil and gas on LinkedIn. There will be emerging trends and options in oil and gas. So I need you to read, to study, to be open-minded. Thank you for asking this question. However, in conclusion, when it looks like you are stuck, when was the last time you had clarity? And what was that clarity? Go back to that clarity and start again.
Start from there. Wow, wow. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm going to ask that person to try and track down Mr. Oluyemi and have a chat with him immediately after we are done. Right, let me come to you, Damola, and because you are a platform owner or operator, and this question would fit in well with you. This person says, I'm not a graduate, but I have a lot of specific and rare skills when I work, which I work on a regular basis. With these skills, I know I can reach or level up with global standard. How do I find a platform to sell myself as an individual?
Okay, so to answer that question, in these days, you go on Google anyway. There are always platforms. There are even a lot of marketplaces where people bid for jobs and a lot of things. So it depends on what kind of skill you have and how exceptional you have. The things you said, so the marketplace is there, the world now is global. So people are working from Lagos now, or from different places in Nigeria or in Africa now, and they're working for a US company or UK company. So there's no restriction, and those guys are not looking for your certificate. They're looking for your skill. But the question is that how exceptional are you? Because you're competing against the world, against Indians, against Chinese, for that same opportunity.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Mr. Dora, this person specifically called your name. Okay. He said, Mr. Dora, what advice will you give to someone who has an ACA certification, but currently working in the bank as a customer representative, yet this person wants to transit into the accounting profession, but has been rejected due to lack of experience in accounting?
That's a good one. So the vision is clear, okay? Accounting. What I would say is there are two ways to get experience: to work somewhere or give yourself the experience. These days of people like hoping that you can't live, your career, you have to take your career in your hands. You can give yourself experience by, one, volunteering. There are lots of firms that need accounting help. Find someone and be the accountant so that you give yourself first-hand experience. So you don't always have to get a job. That's the biggest problem that people make. You can get the skills and then you can create experience. I think that's a big area that a lot of people lack, that creativity. Entrepreneurship is about creativity. Create work. Where there's no work, you can create work, right? So people need accounting help. Help people who need accounting help. Start practicing what you've learned. And then because where they work now, I think it's a bank.
Yes.
So people take where they are working for granted. It's easier to actually transit within your current organization than outside. You should go and talk to HR. You'll be shocked. Even if the HR does not give you an opportunity there, they might know someone who will want your skills. The other thing I wanted to say, I think it was just trying to mention, I think the person who wants to be a professor, like Lola mentioned, you don't have one career in your life. You can have even up to 10. The average person has about 5 to 7 careers in their lifetime. Professor does not have to be your career today. It can be your final career. That's what I want to tell that person that says they want to be. You don't have to be a professor today. You can decide to be a professor in 10 years, but all the careers you do will be leading up to professorship. So the person can go into HR like they want to, consulting preferably, and then when you want to be a professor, there's a teacher I know who teaches children in the UK. She's in Nigeria. She teaches Nigerian children. Like, lots of Nigerian parents in the UK via Zoom. And people say teachers are not earning. I don't know where they are. If you go digital and you update, if you have ordinary skills, you will make ordinary money. If you have rare skills, you will make rare money. Go and find out the skills that people don't have. That's what you should be focusing on. But if you want soft life, soft life comes with soft money. But if you want hard money, hard currency, then you need to get hard skills.
Thank you, thank you. A round of applause, a round of applause. All right, finally, for this segment, I would come to you and then we'll take closing thoughts from everyone. Lola, this question is for you. This person says, as a young lady in her early 30s with no job, I was denied a job because of age. What advice do you have for us? I have 3 years experience in secretarial skill. Currently, I'm depressed and I'm tired of staying at home.
Well, I'm sending you, first of all, virtual hugs, because I can't see you, I don't know who you are, but you can also chat me up later if you feel the need to. So the first thing, we kind of talked about it already. Secretarial skills, or what I'd like to call administrative skills, are actually very, very underrated, but so needed, because people need help with planning. And that's actually something that you can easily employ yourself with. There are a lot of organizations today that have conferences, they need repertoires. So for example, this event, I'm not sure we have minutes anywhere, we have virtual. Someone needs to transcribe. I have a friend in the UK who makes a lot of money from doing that. That is a service we currently don't have in Nigeria. Repertoiring, providing minutes, that's one. We talked about updating or augmenting your skills, because secretarial studies or administrative studies tends to also give you training in planning and organizing. It's actually one area where you can actually sell training to young people who are trying to thrive in a world with so much distraction on how to plan and organize. There is so much you can do. So let's connect if you feel the need to. Age, again, and still is nothing but a number. And because of the world of commoditized knowledge, the world is getting younger and younger and younger. So 30 is nothing when you think about the fact that there are 40, 50-year-olds who are living it up. Yeah. So please, let's connect. There's so much you can do.
Thank you. Thank you. Please, a round of applause. A round of applause. Thank you. Thank you. All right, closing thoughts from you, all of our panelists. Thank you so much. We'll just go around the table and we will bring this session to a close. I start from you, Damola. Closing thoughts from you.
All right. Just to encourage you, whatever thing your hand finds to do, put in your best. You understand? Every time we need to understand that you are me in corporation. So you're actually a company. You're working for yourself even though you are employed. So people are watching you. People are giving referrals about you. Do your best at every given opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you. Adora, we'll come to you.
Continue from where he stopped. And if you find that you can't do your best, because the truth is that there are some people here that they are tired of where they are working, then you must set a timeline to exit, because there is no point for you to continuously manifest a poor side of you, because that's your personal brand, and you're debranding yourself the longer you stay. So set a timeline for yourself and exit. If you have to leave so that you can invest in yourself, you know, even though when you invest in free programs, it takes longer, because obviously you have to be searching Google, but make that decision, you know, to be clear about your vision, decide what exactly it is that you want to invest, and make that investment in your career and give yourself a timeline.
Thank you, thank you. Please, a round of applause for Dora. Thank you, thank you. Lola, closing thoughts, please.
So I'm just going to say, maintain your lane, follow who know road, but remember that you must bide your time by the watch on your wrist. We all blossom at different seasons. So if you're competing with someone left, it never works that way. So maintain your lane, mind yourself by the watch on your wrist, because we all blossom at different seasons. At the end of the day, we will blossom.
And follow who know road. Please appreciate Lola. Appreciate her, please. Thank you. Thank you. Oliomi, closing thoughts, please.
Okay, so I'd like to say that the purpose of education is to increase our capacity to think, analyze, and profile solutions. When you are approaching the market, labor market, opportunities, don't go from a place of sympathy. Don't go from a place of pity. Go with strength. Remember, 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 you are either a hot cake or you will be unwanted. God bless you.
Thank you, thank you. All right, so all of our panelists, thank you very much for sharing those wonderful insights, and all of our audience in the room, online also, thank you, everyone. God bless you. Let's just pose for photographs, and then we will put on.
Follow who know road.
Another thunderous round of applause for our panelists.
Follow who know road. If there's anything that's the truth. Follow who know road. Very, very important. Okay,
So we'll just invite Pastor Kola to give us a closing prayer,
yes,
very quickly before we move ahead.
All right, so lots of thoughts have been shared, and I would just like for us all to know that our career is ultimately an intrinsic part of our life. You know, your life continues, you know, to move in the direction of your career. Your career is a core part of your life. Whatever God will do in your life, to a very large extent, you know, where you find yourself in career would be a big part of that. I'd like you to just bow your heads this morning and just ask God, you know, for favor. One of the things that I have enjoyed, you know, in my line of work, in my career path, is that God, you know, has shown me favor. Favor for speed, favor for growth, for increase, favor to, you know, be in the right conversation, you know, to step into the right opportunities. I'd like for you to pray today and say, Lord, I commit my career journey into your hand. I ask you, lead me. Someone may be here today and, you know, you are in the valley of decision. You are at a decision-making point in your career. For those who are transiting, I'd like for you to ask God for wisdom, wisdom for right thinking, for right action. I'd like for you to ask God, you know, to lead you, to guide you. You will not make a wrong step. You will not take a wrong step. You will not make a wrong decision in your career in the name of Jesus. Would you pray in the name of Jesus for the right opportunities, that in this season of your life, that the hand of God will rest upon you, God will lead you, He will guide you. In the name of Jesus, would you pray that God will be the glory and the lifter of your head? Psalms 3 verse 3 says that He is the glory and the lifter of your head. And God would cause you, to rise like an edifice in the name of Jesus. Everyone who is experiencing some form of stagnation in their career, would you ask the Lord, to strengthen you? Everyone, who is weak, everyone who is currently depressed, who is going through, a turbulent time in their career, would you ask God for strength in the name of Jesus? On the road to where you are going, ask God to strengthen you. Ask Him that, you will not be overwhelmed, you will not grow tired, you will not grow frustrated. We rebuke the devil in our career path and our career journey in the name of Jesus. Finally, would you ask God that you are a candidate of grace? Whatever you do, your path is laced with the grace of God. You rise by grace. You enjoy speed in the name of Jesus. Father, we give you praise. We exalt your name. Thank you, Lord Jesus. In Jesus' mighty name we pray. Amen. Please help me celebrate God this morning one more time with a big hand clap. God bless you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm going to say it again. Follow who no road. Turn to your neighbor. Turn to your neighbor. Turn to your neighbor. Just say, follow who no road. Okay, so you are in a place whereby we know road. Abi? We know the road now. And that's why we have organized this career fair. So that we can show you the what? The road. Great. Okay, so we are going to go into the career fair proper. I want you to sit down. Sit down. I see some people during the panel session, they are already, in Yoruba they call it, they are already ferregede on the chair. So sit down properly now. This is time. So if your neighbor, adjust yourself right now. Okay, great. So we're taking deep dive into the career fair right now. And
yes, so please, when you came in, you were registered. Everybody has a tag.
Yes.
If you do not have a tag, please, I would like you to go to the back where registration is ongoing and you get a tag. Now, the tags have numbers on them, and that is what we're going to use
so bring out your tags now.
Organize ourselves.
You can bring out your tags now so you know your numbers.
Yes, so
bring
that
out your
we'll
tag
go
so
to
you know your number.
To the exhibitors who are waiting to see us, and we'll do this in an orderly fashion. We'll also like to note that another panel session will be going on, and questions that we have received and are still receiving for those online. We'll still be receiving questions, and these questions will still be answered by Career Pro members as well. So we'll still be taking questions for the first people. As the career fair is ongoing, we'll be answering questions.
So let me add to,
going on.
Why do you need to stay back and listen, right? I see a lot of times people like, all you are just here to do is, let's go and speak to a recruiter and the likes. But there's always something, when you hear them, they talk about these things. We also want you to actually answer the questions that we're actually giving to the panelists that they weren't able to take. But we'll be going into the audience and take live questions. So maybe you did not have the opportunity to ask the questions. So now you have the opportunity to actually ask live questions, and we'll take that. And also take questions from our online guests too.
Audience as well.
Yes.
Yeah, so fantastic. So we're going to start with the numbers.
Yes.
Please, if you have your tags.
Look at your tags. Number one.
Numbers 1 to 50.
Yes. So we have our ushers. Just if you have the tag number 1 to 50, just look at the tag again.
If you have your tag numbers 1 to 50, can you please raise up your hand so that we can organize you? Ushers, can you please help organize them?
So we'll move from from one aisle to the other, from one aisle
in an orderly fashion. Now, can you please rise if your tag number is 1 to 50? If your tag numbers fall between 1 to 50. Now, can you please look behind you? You see members waving at you. Can you please, in an orderly fashion, please go that way?
Please, so no, let's do from one aisle to the other. One aisle to the other. So please, just from this side, just go. From that side,
from
just
our
go.
right.
From our right.
Go?
Just hold on. When they
in
leave,
an orderly fashion.
then we join. Okay. Follow who no road. Great.
So while this is ongoing, I'm going to invite the panelists for the next panel session, and we have Bratwoyo.
Round of applause, please. Round of applause
while this is ongoing.
We're not going to read his his bio, but trust me, he's loaded. So we just quickly take, please, a round of applause.
So
You see what we were saying now. When they say work hard, they say it's hard work. Work hard. Please clap for
we also
him.
have Mojisola. Mojisola,
please
round
clap
of applause,
until they
please.
get on stage. Clap until they get on stage. Appreciate them. They have worked so hard. What you are seeing today, they contributed to this.
We have Ifeanyi.
A round of applause. Thank you so much. And please, if you have questions, please note them down.
And we have already, oh, that's me.
Okay, that's yourself. So I'll be in the audience taking questions. So.
Right, so we're gonna start asking questions. Exhibitors, you have, I believe they've been told the time. Exhibitors have 15 minutes.
So you're only going to spend 15 minutes with each recruiter, so 15 minutes. I'm going to be a soldier. I'm going to come and drag you away. No, there's Mike. Just ask him.
All right, so while the career fair is ongoing, we're going to be asking questions. We already had questions in the course of the session, so I'm just going to be asking questions. You're very welcome. How are you doing? I know it's been a very busy couple of weeks, so we're just going to, take off from where the previous panel stopped. I'm just going to be asking questions that we've already received. Yes, then we'll just move on. So I'm going to ask the first question. Question says, I am a tech expert, a UI UX designer, and a web developer. Most meetings end up to a face-to-face meeting, and most times start with a sexual talk. How do I approach it? Sexual, when they go for an interview, it's usually the connotation is usually sexual. Yes. They're usually like, okay, come, we'll do this, we'll do that. So how should they attend to that question? Refani, do you want to answer that? Yes, it's a lady.
So I assume the person asking the question is a lady because obviously in most instances, the sexual harassment. Yeah. So I assume the person asking the question is a lady, obviously, because in most instances, I assume this is a sexual harassment situation, right? That's the question, it's a sexual harassment situation.
Yes. So
okay.
she's not taken seriously when she goes to, yes.
So there are a few extra information that may not be available in this question, but most sexual harassment is probably that you have I'm assuming in this situation that the recruiter is a man or is a male, and then there's a lady that is involved. The previous panelist has made it clear that when you go into your career and you're going for an interview, you have to go with the mindset that you're bringing value to the table, not with the mindset that you're being helped. So I think that's a major shift that needs to happen. You're not coming that they are helping you. You're going with the mindset that you're bringing value to the table and you are on a platform of an exchange. And what you're bringing to the table for that exchange is not your body. What you're bringing to the table for that exchange is your intellectual capacity, is your skills. That is one. And then your presentation of yourself is also important. That if you go with that mindset shift, it will help you present yourself and consistently drive the conversation away from the distractive conversation to focus on the value that you're bringing on the table.
All right, thank you.
That helps.
Yes, thank you very, very much. A round of applause, please. So the next question, can you hear me? Please confirm that you can hear me, yes? All right, fantastic. So for next question, I'm going to direct it. This is Chijioke. He's also part of the Career Pro Unit team. So I'm going to direct the next question to Chijioke. For fresh graduates who do not have work experience, how can they easily enter the workforce?
Okay. So my advice would be for them to learn a skill, like the previous panelists mentioned. The new normal, there are several skills you can learn. You can also determine what career path do you want as a fresh graduate. Do you want a freelancing job? Do you want to work as an entrepreneur, or do you want a full-time job? If you want a full-time job in an organization, you can always learn the skill. There are several tech skills out there, several tech organizations right now that teach you skills. You know, also internship too. Get an internship opportunity. Most companies want to see someone that has, even if it's an internship opportunity and you have learned something, you know, so, and also watch out for graduate training programs. So those programs are the programs that can allow you join the workforce and learn for a period of time before you join the full workforce as full-time, you know. So my advice would be learn a skill, intern, look for graduate training programs, and lastly, get a mentor, a career mentor, HR mentor, someone that can help you, show you the right path in terms of finding your career path too. That will be helpful. With that, you can get few knowledge and build up your CV a bit and start applying.
Thank you. So I'm going to ask Toya the next question. And the question says, I resigned from a job due to job dissatisfaction and in search for a job in areas around data analytics and operations management. The offer I have now is my previous pay divided by 2, so that's half the previous pay, and it's making me lose my mind. Please kindly advise.
Okay, I think I'll speak from my own experience. I used to work in the UK, and I had a great job, salary amazing. I was top when you assess salary, I was top 1% in the UK, but I absolutely disliked my job. I was miserable. Initially, when I started, I was in a previous job, very good job as well, but I was doing the same field, and I thought if I move to a better paying job, I'll feel better, but doing in the same field. And eventually I realized that unless you're earning like footballer's salary, I don't think money is ever going to give you job satisfaction. You actually have to be doing something you like. But unfortunately, I'm a lawyer, and once you're specialized in the UK, you can't, once you're in one field, you can't move to a different field. So I had a choice either to stay in this field, which I dislike, or move to Nigeria and start again. So I moved to Nigeria, and when you compare UK exchange rates, and back then NAIRA was much stronger than it was. I probably came to a job which was maybe 1/30th of what I was earning in the UK, but I was actually much happier. And you know, when you're doing something you enjoy, you find that money is secondary. Well, money can be secondary, of course, to some extent. Money has to be good enough, but I was happier earning much less. So I think for the person, if you're earning half of what you're earning, stay with it. If you're enjoying it, do it, and eventually you grow. From doing something I enjoy for not enough money, I'm now in a position where I can't, money is not really something I think about. I'm very happy both with the pay and with the work I do. So eventually, if you stick with it, you're enjoying it, you find that if you're passionate about it, it's going to promote you, it's going to elevate you, and eventually, even though you started out with too little money, you'll find that eventually the money will catch up, and it will add to your job satisfaction, and you'll be a much better person. So don't think of the pay cut you're getting at the moment. Eventually, the pay will catch up, and you'll be happy. You'll be much happier doing what you're doing.
Thank you very much, Toyo. A round of applause, please.
Okay, so just to add, so once you're done with the meeting with the recruiters, we'll just like you to go to the left part of the Toronto, just my left here, if you're facing. So in the recruitment area, the left part, we have something for you to take home as you leave. Thank you.
All right, fantastic. Next question. That's for you, Moji. I was advised to resign from my previous place of appointment because I failed to charter after the stipulated timeline. This person is an accountant. 8 years after, I am still yet to charter. Note that I graduated with a 2-1 and even an A in financial accounting in my O-levels. I currently earn a fairly good salary and have managed to build some savings. I plan to resign from my current employment, to enable me fully face my professional exams as my last resolve. Is this a wise decision? If not, what are my other options?
Okay, being a chartered accountant, that's like the dream and the peak of almost every accountant. So I identify with what you feel, with your situation, the fact that you need to be a chartered accountant. But then I don't have the information as to which of the exams you're writing. Are you writing ICANN or you're writing ACC? I think it would be good to have that. But either ways, resigning from your job to finish your exams, I think is a good idea. Because like everyone has said, there's a place of investing into your career. And then when you invest, definitely you get returns. So if you can, alternatively though, if you don't want to resign, I mean, as an alternative to resigning, you could explore getting a time off work, say a study leave, if that's available in the organization where you work. You could take time off rather than resigning altogether, so that you still have that space of returning. But the truth is, if that is not possible, whether you are able to return to that organization or not, finishing your exams gives you a boost, improves your profile, makes your profile stronger, and gives you more options, more opportunities, such that by the time you're done, even if you can't return to that organization where you were, you get other organizations, you get options. And I would advise you do an exam that gives you many more options, even outside Nigeria, and that's ACCA, rather than ICANN. That's if you're already doing ACCA, that would be good.
Thank you very much, Moji. I'd like to just add a little bit. Like she mentioned, in some organizations, you can actually, I think it's even, it's done where you are given some time to actually go for a professional examination. Like in my current organization, we mandate employees to have professional certifications. Like, you need to have professional certifications. And this person said that the person was advised to resign because they didn't have the certification. And, that basically speaks to your competency, right? So to be able to have that skill, the last panel session, they say it will take pain. You need to study. Yes, you have to work. But then if you're working in the same line, like this person is a finance major now, if you're working in the same line, I believe you're practicing the exam basically is the theoretical aspect of it. So you're practicing it. You can also study. Like she said, you can decide that you want to resign. For me, I believe you can actually also study. You will take the pains, it's a sacrifice, but you know where you're headed. You know what your vision is, you know what you want to be, and you give yourself a timeline. It's not, oh, I'm tired today, I'm going to binge watch Netflix, then I'll study tomorrow. You can't expect that you'll pass. And ICANN is not a beans exam. So, you have to actually put in the work. I wish you all the best. So I'm just going to go quickly to the next question. Abraham, please, when that time is done, you please notify us so that we know when the next batch of people...
yes, so that's it. Okay, this panel ends by 12:55.
12 what?
55.
Right. Okay, all right, that's fine. Thank you. All right, next question. I'm going to take this next question. It says, I'm a French enthusiast with a first degree in French education and also currently running my master's program in French. I have a 6 months teaching experience post-NYSC, although I've been teaching since secondary school. Right now, I'm considering changing careers from the educational sector, but I really don't know what to do. I believe this question was asked in the last panel session when you feel that education isn't isn't so fantastic, but I think it is. Nowadays, you have people, linguists, are being sought after, not just in Nigeria, even outside Nigeria, right? Because you have expatriates going in and out of the country. If you now have, if you're a linguist, that's you can speak French. I've been trying to learn French for eons, and I can't go past bonjour, ça va, end of story, right? But you have this skill. Don't look at it as just being just a minor, this one can't take me anywhere. No, it can take you places, right? So even though you have French, you can decide to add another skill, upskill yourself. By the time you add linguistics to it, you find that you are a hot commodity. Don't just think linguistics. I don't think there's any. Please, I don't know if you correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think there's any career path that is not important. Right? So you can upskill yourself. Look at what you have and what you currently have, what you can add to it. Upskill yourself, make yourself relevant, and God will help you. You will go places. So I'm just going to go on the next question. I love my work and go extreme to get my tax done professionally, but my passion for the work is not motivated. I'm not motivated in what I do right now. What is your advice for me?
Okay. The person likes the job. However, the passion is going down, right?
Yeah, the person is not, the person is not motivated to do what they're doing now.
Okay, so the real issue here is self-discovery. As Pastor Kola said earlier, that your career is an intrinsic part of your being and who you are. The person needs to go through a self-discovery process. What is the person's life purpose? What is the person trying to accomplish in life? If your current job, you like it, and is providing you sufficient financial return, it's meeting a purpose. But then what I can hear under this question is that there is a vacuum. There is a gap that this person is looking to fill. And to be able to identify what will fill that gap, you will go through self-discovery process. And what I will recommend is, first of all, for you to go first, engage the two ways that you can discover yourself: meeting a counselor and going to God in prayers. That is very important. You need to do a combination of the two. By the time you then discover what your purpose is and your long-term plan is, you can then, number two, map out strategies and goals to get there. I'm not going to recommend that you resign from your job today because it's not giving you satisfaction. However, you need to go through the process, discover yourself, identify your long-term goal, and work out mechanisms, paths that you will use to get there. I hope that has offered some help.
Thank you very much. Next question I'm going to ask Shijoke. He says, this person says, I am a back-end operations officer in a bank, but I would love to transition to HR. I am currently running a master's in human resources. I have been applying for HR jobs, but not getting positive feedbacks because of no experience. Please advise me on what to do to get employable.
Okay, great. So I think part of what the panelists covered in the last session, you have to make some sacrifices. You may require to start with internship. Transitioning for a career from one particular sector to another sector, or on that skill to another skill, requires you to take some sacrifices. Most companies will not hire you based on your banking experience. Or else you can find a way from the bank to move from wherever you're in the bank to the HR department, which sometimes may not be easy, depending on the workforce in the bank. So my advice is to look for internship opportunities, virtual internship, physical internship. Also, if you can get opportunities in HR consulting organizations, there are so many of them out there. There are recruitment agencies, there are training organizations, there are several sections in human resources that you can consult. For example, my own career, I started my career in IT. My first degree is in IT. I started my career as an IT support engineer. At some point, I started working for a HR consulting organization that was into recruitment. And while doing my IT tax, I ended up liking recruitment tax. So I spoke to the head of the recruitment department. He taught me. I was doing my IT and HR together. At some point, I kind of had to choose between the two of them, and I chose human resources. And but then, the company was only a recruitment agency. So I joined them in just a recruitment agency. And from them, I got other recruitment jobs. From recruitment jobs, I'm currently working in an organization. I joined the organization as a recruitment specialist, but from recruitment specialist, I've moved from recruitment to other part of HR. I do way more than recruitment right now. I'm more like a generalist right now, but understand the parts. I started from a company that's a consulting company that was specialized on one part of human resources. From there, I moved to another one. Then I got a chance to join the competition in-house. In-house, you can speak to when you join in-house as maybe head of learning and development or head of recruitment, you can always talk to HR manager and say, okay, I can do more than this. I can do A, I can do B, and they'll give opportunity. From there, you can grow and become a generalist. So take up any opportunity you have, but you have to take a step. If possible, you can leave the bank and get an internship opportunity that will make you have lower pay. You have to do that. But job experience is important to make that move. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chijioke. All right, so we're going to pause for a bit. I think we're ready to take the next batch of people who will go
51 to 100. If you have 51 to 100, 51, just raise up, just stand up first. 51 to 100.
If you have 51 to 100, can you please
51 to
just
100.
stand?
Okay, so we'll move from this aisle first. So just this aisle in front of me. You can just go to the usher at the back. 51 to 100. No, just hold on. No, this other aisle. No, you go. I mean, just hold on so that we don't have. Okay, then you can then follow afterwards. Thank you. You can continue.
All right, thank you very much. I wanted to add to what Chijioke said. I wanted to add to what Chijioke said when he was referring to the person that wanted to migrate to HR. Another thing you can do, you already said that you were getting, you were doing a degree, a master's degree in human resources, and that is good. If you want to practice in Nigeria, you might want to think about being certified with CIPMN, that's Chartered Institute for Personal Management of Nigeria. You might want to think about being chartered because you also need a license to practice human resources in Nigeria. Another way to go in, like he mentioned, is to intern. I believe you mentioned that you can also have an opportunity to intern if you're not certain. You start with an intern, you get the certification, and that is also an opportunity, or rather, an option to getting a job in a HR sphere. Right, so I'm just going to go to the next question. Toyo, this is for you. It says, I have been working under a company for 2 years as a cashier. Even on my off days when I'm asked to come to work, I do and even exceed my work hours. The issue is there's no growth. There is no career growth as a cashier. That's where it ends, cashier, and it ends. I've decided to quit the job and take up a more purpose-driven and learning environment job. What kind of job can you advise me to transit to? I'm a graduate of English and literacy studies with certifications in project management, health safety education, and also human resource management.
Okay, I think the person needs to, whoever this is, I think you need to be clear on what you want to do. It's impossible for me to advise you on what to take up. I completely understand where you're coming from. No career growth. No one wants to be in a job where there's no growth and no financial reward, and it seems you're working long hours. So that can be very demoralizing. Completely understood. So you need to be clear what you want to do, and if you're flexible, I guess you've named quite a number of options. So there's quite a lot of career paths you could follow up, but you need to decide on one, or you could just apply in several different roles And if finding a job is a struggle, I think we've talked earlier about what you can do to get into the workforce if you are struggling to find a job. So you can intern, which would be a sacrifice possibly, with little or no pay. But if you, from internship, you can build up whatever field you want to move into. Once you've interned, that gives you an opportunity to get a proper job, even within the place where you've interned, for example. So I think you need to just start applying to as many places as you can, and possibly narrow down your options so you get a bit more focus. Because if you are not clear what you want to do, you might find you move into one field and you go in there and you don't actually enjoy it. So try and determine, if I talked about finding out who you are, find out what you like, and maybe move into that area. I think as a cashier, maybe you have financial experience, so you can try and apply for something in finance. Or if it's HR you want to do, intern, apply for HR roles, and you can move on. But if you feel you can't move until you find a new job because of the finances, then I'd suggest you probably try and stick it out as long as you can. But if it becomes too overwhelming, then yeah, maybe you have to make a call. But you need to start applying as much as you can, as far and wide as you can, either in one field or as many fields as you feel you'd be interested in. But yeah, I think eventually you're going to have to make a call on what you actually want to do.
Thank you very much. I also like to add very quickly, in the last panel session, I think it was Adora that mentioned that when you know where you're going, you have a vision, right? So right now, at least you started with, you know that you don't want to be a cashier anymore. You want to have career growth. You want to make an impact. So where are you headed? What do you want to do? Where do you want to go to? Once you know that, then you won't have all this. You can have like a specific career path and work towards it. So if it's HR, because here in the question you said that you have operations management, you have human resource management, you also have HSC, right? So where are you headed? If you're going in the path of human resources, then you know that you can direct, your energies towards that part and like that. So you might want to know where it is that you are headed, have a vision. Yeah, we have one question. Okay.
Something I would like to add for the person, just as a practical step to take, is you may want to run a personality test on yourself, because just taking notes here, I can see HR, there's bookkeeping, there's project management, there's HSC. So you already have a spread of possible areas and skills that you can plunge in. But when you go for an interview or when a company wants to take you, the real thing they are looking for is, what problem are you going to solve for me? It is not the certification that they're employing. It is really, what problem are you going to solve for me? What value are you bringing? It's not that they won't take you in because you have a HR certification or you have a project management certification. So with your personality test, you'll be able to understand first the things that fires you on, and then begin to move from that knowledge you have gained to the point of application. And that will help you refine your search and refine how to move from the knowledge to skill. Because I see one of the things I have identified is folks have quite a lot of knowledge and information about some areas, but you need to move from the point of knowledge, head knowledge, and from the point of information to a point of skill that can create value. And it is that transition from a point of knowledge to a skill that can create value that will unlock opportunities for you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Now, we have a question from the online audience, so we're just going to take that very quickly. Chijike, this will be for you. It says, why do we have job openings that have unrealistic experience requirements? You are the recruitment expert. Help us.
Okay, it depends on what you define as unrealistic experience requirements. So let me just explain this now. So someone once said, I can't remember who said this, that when a company is looking for have a job opening, there's an issue in the organization, and they need you to come and fix it for them. So most times, what creates that job requirements is what the skills, the requirement, the expectations, and the knowledge or competencies they need you to have to fill up that role. So I get that there'll be several jokes on social media about people saying every role is 10 years of experience, 5 years of experience, and all. But what companies define by years of experience is how soon can you join and get the ball rolling? Do you understand? If you join a role and they need someone to come in, for example, they need an accountant to come in, the company probably got a new client, and they have a lot of financial activities to happen, and you bring in a 2 years of experience person, the person will struggle, the person needs a lot of hand-holding, but the company doesn't have that time. At the end of the day, they tell you after 3 months you're not good enough, they have to let you go. That is an issue. But most of this issue can be solved at the recruitment stage. So when companies give these job requirements here, is to find the right and ideal candidates. Also, keep in mind that the job requirements are not only given by the recruiters, they are given too by the hiring managers. And hiring managers are the person that is hiring that role. The supervisor for that role is the hiring manager. So the recruiter gets the JD or the job description from the hiring manager, and that will be advertised, that's what you see. So aside from the companies that have unrealistic ones, the reason why they have that job description is so that we don't have an issue at the interview. Because if you come to the interview panel, and I'm bringing in a panelist that is expecting to see an accountant with 5 years of experience, and they're going to be asking you questions that are tailored to an accountant with that sort of experience, and you come in and you can't answer those questions, interview ends in 5 minutes. What 5 minutes? Sometimes 1 minute or 2 minutes. Do you understand? So let us not have an issue where I bring you from your home, you come all the way to Lekki from, let's for example, from Ikorodu, come to Lekki, enter the interview panel, and in 1 minute you are done. And I tell you, you're not successful. So my point in all this is that, for clarity's sake, HR professionals advertise what they need, based on what the company needs, not just what they feel they want to advertise and make it seem like we're being wicked or unrealistic. So, like I said, I want to know what it means by unrealistic, so that both parties are clear. Do you understand?
Yes, I would like to add quickly to that. So when a job advert goes out and it says, okay, let's say for a particular role, give me a role. Let's say it's a legal officer role now, for instance, just for instance, and we say the person needs to have 5 years of experience, and you're like, unrealistic experience requirements, let's say 5 years, 10 years. Now, understand that when you do a job, the more you do it, the experience you have garnered from that role or doing that particular thing will actually help you with other issues in another environment. So it's not just, sometimes it's not unrealistic, sometimes it's the actual fact. If I say I want someone that has experience in HR for 10 years, there's a reason I'm asking why. It's because I want to be sure that this person has actually been able to handle employees, like maybe employee relations now, for the time period. Because in that 10 years, there is no how you wouldn't have come across maybe difficult employees, difficult bosses, or whatever the situation is. So in that case scenario, it is the experience that matters, that you were able to handle whatever it is, and you have seen. And basically experience also guides you in doing what you need to do. So aside the competencies, you also garner competencies from the experiences that you've also had. Yes, you wanted to add something?
Yeah, I want to add to that. So I had to, when organizations set these roles, it's one thing is either from, it's not, even if they say 10 years experience, there's a reason why they pick 10 years. So it's either past experience has been positive or it has been negative. So like, for example, I had to recruit two staff recently, and I had past experience of people who had certain experience, and it can actually be long experience. I had someone who was extremely experienced, but the wrong type of experience. So I had learned from that lesson, and I was very clear as to what I wanted. You could actually have someone with 5 years experience that is of more value to me than someone with 10 years experience, just because of the relevance of that experience. Or you could have had someone in the past who was exceptional, and you know it was the experience they had. So you want to match what you've seen in the past. So that's why we can be very specific. So if I ask for something and like HR sent me a few candidates that didn't match what I wanted, and I said, no, I'm not even interested in seeing these people. I want you to give me someone that matches exactly what I have said, because I know exactly what I want.
So I want to bring in just 2 dimension and context to this conversation of experience. The first is that we have to recognize and acknowledge that quite a number of times, I know most of the folks here are HR professionals, but quite a number of times, some of the JD you see actually post, quite a number of them can be copy and paste. Yeah? So quite a number of them can be copy and paste from the hiring manager of even the hiring HR. So it's important that when you see those, you look beyond the details there and look at what actually is the skill value that the people are looking to hire. If you see 10 years and you have 5 years, look at the responsibilities that are there. Are you able to offer those value? Then, very important, as I keep saying, self-discovery is going to help you a lot in your job search. That you're able to communicate your ability to solve problems. While in one's 10 years experience is that 10 years experience have seen various dimensions of issues and have been opportune to see those dimensions of issues. Now, if your natural creativity and smartness is such that you can approach those issues and also offer solutions, and you're able to communicate that during your engagement with case studies, then the hiring managers and the HRs will be able to consider you in those conversations. So I think the soft skills and your understanding of yourself is very integral in confronting the 10 years experience challenge. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'll take the next question. This is from our online audience. It says, I resigned from my job because I was paid less than half of my salary by my employer for the month of April, and I was told it was because I didn't work. This affected me so much, hence my resignation. So I would like to know, how could I have responded better, and was I wrong for my resignation? Moji, would you like to answer that question?
Okay, so 1 month of half salary and you're out. I think you responded too quickly, in my opinion. So it's just 1 month, and what I expected is, rather than just resigning and walk away, you could engage. Okay, so you have been told that you did not do your work. Maybe you could ask for details. What exactly are the expectations? So there's something called appraisals, in a lot of organizations. Before we have appraisals, there's something called objectives. So at the beginning of the period, say a year or a 6 months, you are agreeing, okay, with your hierarchy, maybe your manager, your boss, your employer, these and these and these are the things I expect you to do to achieve in this period. So there's something we call KPIs, right? Key performance indicators. So you are agreeing, okay, for this period, I'm supposed to bring in a sale of so amount. So I'm saying all of this so that you're not just walking away without going away with the right information, with the right feedback. Because you could walk away, go to the next employer, and then have the same experience, right? So rather than just walking away like that, you should go back, you should have gone back, have that conversation. So if I did not do my work, which part and what were the specific expectations? What was expected of me for this period? Right? And then, okay, so if you have done all of that and you're sure that you actually did your work, maybe you can now yes, I have done my part, you're convinced you did your part. And then maybe you can also ask further and say, so if we agree on the things I'm supposed to do subsequently, right, and we put it down, it's on black and white, we both agree it, and then I'm able to achieve all this by the next period, am I guaranteed of this salary? If you can both agree that, I think that's a better way to go about it than just walking away.
So basically engaging.
Engaging, yes.
Chijeke, you have something to
yes.
say?
Let me speak from the person's point of view, because people always say HR comes from the employer point of view. It's also wrong for an employer to deduct the employee's salary, because it depends on what was agreed. If you sign the contract, and depends on also the performance management system too.
What if it was variable pay?
That's what I said. Depends on what was agreed. But some employers, some companies abuse that. Some companies, you come late, they deduct your salary. Some companies, you do some offenses, they deduct your salary. It was not even agreed at the beginning. So it's also a fault of, can also be a fault of the system in the organization, because you can't just say, I didn't work that month and deduct my salary. Okay, what proof do you have? And some companies will not even have any proof to show that. Some companies have gone through litigation issues where a company take you to court and you say, I'm being let go because of underperformance. And they say, okay, you're in the court. Show us proof that it was underperforming. And you have no proof. So I also think from the employee point of view, it's also a matter of speaking up. You shouldn't just live like that. Speak up, talk to somebody, and find out why was it agreed? If it was agreed, it was a variable pay, then that's fine. If it wasn't a variable pay, then it's actually wrong from the employer point of view. That's what I think.
So it's still engaging.
Yes.
Still engaging. Yes. So we still engage the employer. All right. I'll move on to the next question because we don't have a lot of time. Last question. It says, I resigned as a branch manager. Ifeanyi, this is for you. I resigned as a branch manager of an organization due to the frustrations I get from my direct line manager. It's been 2 months now, and the MD of the company has asked me to resume back with immediate effect. Still to work with the same line manager. Should I go back? I'm assuming that, we're assuming now that this person, because he said it's been 2 months, that this person has not gotten a new job. So the person is asking, should I go back, even though I'm being invited to come back to work with the same line manager that frustrated him in the first place?
All right, so let's build some background. So assumption number one, you're unemployed, right? Assumption number one, you're unemployed. Assumption number two, you're not really looking to do a career transition. You're just looking for another job. Yeah, not that you're going to school or that. So if these two assumptions is the case, and then you are required first, is that you will have to understand, and I'm going to just be brutally honest, you will have to understand that you will meet difficult colleagues, be it subordinate, be it supervisor, line manager. You have to do that. And I'm glad that you are at a point where you're a branch manager, so you're beginning to build soft skills. You have to learn how to deal with a difficult boss. I'm just going to be very brutally honest. Should you go back? If you haven't got other things you're doing, you should go back. It means that for the MD of the company to tell you to come back, somewhere you have the right skill set. You're creating value. It is your relationship skills that you need to focus on. I'm not going to focus on, because I don't have interaction with the difficult manager. So there's something conversation I usually have with my friends, that I focus on developing and making myself a better person. So whenever I have relationship crisis with folks, I try to look back and say, how could I myself be the one that could have improved the situation here? The challenge I'm giving to this person is look internally, find out how yourself can be better at managing relationship. And you already have the skill set for the MD to ask you to come back. It means you're creating value. Find out how you can manage that relationship, because if you move past this bus, there is no guarantee that the next job you're going to take or the other company you're going to get to, you're not going to meet even a worse or more challenging supervisor. So it is to really build the relationship of how to manage the boss. And there are several platforms that you can help you gain those understanding. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We have...
Thank you so much. Just quick information. So number 101 to 150. 101, please stand up.
The next
101.
batch, 101 to
101 to
150.
150. Okay. Thank you. Okay, so you can exit. Please do continue.
All right, thank you.
Already, sorry, I just want to add to what he said. So it's important that you go back, but don't go back the same way you left the place. So you need to do that homework. You need to find the help, like he rightly said. Look inwards, seek for help, in fact, professional help if possible. Do courses, take courses that would improve your own relationship skills, so that when you're going back with a strategy to do things differently and achieve a better result.
Fantastic, thank you very much. Yes, okay, so we have run out of time for this section of panelists. We have another...
Yeah, we can take questions from the audience now.
Yes, do we have questions? Yeah, I ought to have asked that earlier. Do we have questions in the audience? Do we have people who have questions in the audience so that we can take that?
Is that a hand? Okay, so if you have a question, you can just raise your hand, then someone come to you.
All right, so we'll just take one question from the audience before the next panel comes on.
Thank you very much. My question is around internship. Every member of the panelists has been hammering on people getting internship. But I don't know if we are aware of the practicality of internship in Nigeria now, where you even have to have experience for internships. I know this because my sibling is at home because of the ASU strike. We are trying to get her to intern. And the applications we've been putting out, they keep asking us for experience. This is a undergraduate that just wants to make use of the time she has now. And you are asking us again for work experience for internship. So I don't know if there are other ways to go around this, but I just want us to know that there are some internships that will ask you for work experience. I want to learn, that's why I want to intern with you. So why are you asking me again for work experience that I don't have? So I would like to know if there are better ways to go around this. Thank you.
Thank you. So the idea basically for interns, with interns, is to acquire knowledge and to get the experience, basically. Normally, you are not supposed to have experience. And in my opinion, this can be, please correct me if I'm wrong, but in my opinion, an organization that asks for experience for an internship role is looking for cheap labor, in my own opinion. Maybe they are trying to see, okay, we are going to pay you as an intern. Okay, so what can you bring to the table? What experience do you have? What do you do? Then again, this is my opinion. There are a couple of exhibitors that are there that I know are looking for interns. And the interns, they don't require experience. Yes, there are some organizations I know. I have worked in one or two organizations that actually, you know, when you say we are looking for, oh, I'm looking for an IT person, maybe a department goes and says, okay, we are looking for an IT person. Then I go, but you must have worked as, then you're not looking for IT, you're looking for cheap labor. In my own opinion, I don't know if you have anything else that you want to add to it. But sorry, I'm so sorry. But to basically advise you have to also, there are some organizations that actually explain what their internships are about. Some organizations don't have this as a policy. Some of them don't even have internship programs, and these are the ones that usually tell you they want experience. If you are looking for an experienced person, then it has to be a full-time a full-time role. It has to be a full-time job. So you might actually want to also scour around and look specifically for organizations that actually have internship programs. Yes.
Yeah, so the point I'm going to raise about the intern is that you have to bring yourself to a platform that you can engage. I know we are out of time, but I think I want to spend some time on this because it looks like it's a connection point for many of the people here, right? So I'll take two instances. You want to do an internship as an IT, you're doing computer science. ASU is on strike. You want to do internship. You can't write any of the programs available. You can't write Python. You can't do C++. You can't do Java. You can't do anything. And you say you want to do internship. In my company, I won't take you because you haven't prepared. Because if I get you there, I need to make sure that you have at least some background information that will make you be a quick learner. You come and tell me in your CV that you're a quick learner, but you're a quick learner and you're doing computer science and you couldn't learn some basic program by yourself. So you're not a quick learner, you're just mouthing it. We got two interns in our company. And because most of these companies you're talking about is small and medium scale companies. And the owners of this company are also looking at while you're learning, you're creating value. If you haven't put yourself in a place that you will automatically come in and learn and create value, you're going to struggle to get the internship you're looking for. So to quite a number of people here, you want to do internship for data analytics and you don't know how to use the visualization tools, you don't have advanced Excel tools. So you're really saying you want to come and turn my company to an education center. You need to have the background knowledge. And then what you're looking for is practical case study experience. I can give you that. But when you don't have the background knowledge, it's a no, including me telling you here, I will tell you a no. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I believe that answers your question. It's time for the next panel, the next level of panelists. Can we please give a thunderous round of applause to this set of panelists? Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
And before we go ahead, I would also like to know. One of the exhibitors, I think someone asked a question earlier about getting skills. One of the exhibitors, ALX Africa, has mentioned that they have a number of skills that they are giving out for free. They are a learning platform. I think software engineering. They have a number of trainings that they do for free. They're actually out there, and a number of their flyers are out there. So you might also want to take advantage of that. Some of the trainings that they give is software engineering, virtual assistant, financial assistant, and young entrepreneurs program. Basically to answer the lady that said she was looking for a career path. Now we have the next panel sessions, and they are going to continue where we left off. Media, there was a question that was from the online audience. You might want to put it back up so that they can continue. Thank you very much.
Okay, so we'll continue. But this time, if you have questions, I'll take one from online, then have one here. Then we can also take from the audience too. So, okay, so the question is, why do you take people with certificates and not skills? So why do employers prefer people who sort of like have the certificates, and perhaps are not trained or they have the requisite skills? So why do you think so? Let me go with you, fine.
Okay, so when you come with, say you have a skill, you need to help me understand how to verify your skill. Certificate is a way of, what is it, certificate, the English word? I certify that you can do this. Okay, you have come, you say you have the skill. Who has certified your skill? or based on the 20, 30 minutes, 1 hour interaction I will have with you, that is how I will certify your skill. So if you have a skill, you need to find a way of certifying that skill, right? If you haven't certified the skill, you need to find a way of, this is the idea I gave some of my very close relations, actually including my wife. You want to go into a terrain. Let's say you're building, you want to go into data analytics. You want to confirm with someone that you have a skill and you can analyze. Have you written a report of a case study of a data challenge that you have solved and cast this report, publish this report in LinkedIn? What is the way that I can use to, as a testament of your skill? You've analyzed this data. This is this business case. This is the data involved. This is how I sorted the data. This is how I analyzed and published it. So if you haven't done all of those things, you're just mouthing that you have skill. I don't have a way of being convinced that you have skill. So the person that a standard school have certified that can do this is likely my best. I'm taking less risk because recruitment is a risk. I'm assuming that you can do the job when you come. So to take less risk, I would take that person that a standard organization have certified. So I don't know if that helps you understand why I will go with certificates than you that is professing that you have a skill.
Okay, thank you so much. So what we'll go, when you're about to answer the question, just introduce yourself so that the audience, perhaps if they have maybe direct question that they want to give to you, so you just introduce yourself. I'm going to read this. I hope that answers your question, so we can move swiftly. What is your advice to someone who is not getting what he or she wants in terms of career goals in her current organization and wants to move but does not have enough experience or has minimal skills in her line of career? So I'll go with you.
Okay, thank you. My name is Yana Hadassah. So to answer that question, please take it again.
So the person does not have, the person wants to move from a current, they're not getting what they want in their career, current place of employment, but they want to move, but they don't have enough, they feel they don't have enough experience and has minimal skills. Yeah, so what does
I think that's a good question as a follow-up to what he just talked about, certification. You need to go learn it. And good enough, we have, the internet is filled with resources that can help you grow your knowledge. So get on the internet, research on what you want, because I believe you have to have this person has a clear career goal for he or she to be able to say that her current organization is not meeting up with that goal. So get on the internet, learn the skills. There are various schools that would offer professional certificates along the lines of what you want to pursue. So once you do that, and also what you would also do apart from getting the certification is look out for where you can volunteer for a start. And by the time you've done all of that, you most definitely would have built enough skills, and you also put yourself out there. We have LinkedIn, we have various social media platforms now where you can showcase your skill, and from there you'll be able to, some organizations will approach you. All right.
Okay, thank you so much, Hadassah. I hope that answered your question. So the next question is I'm going to take here. Then I'll take another one from the people I have in my hand. Then we'll go to the audience for if you have any question. Then in the situation where your current work schedule hardly gives opportunity for career in terms of like learning or growth outside the workspace, please give advice on the approach to take to improve your career in this situation. This person works in a financial institution, and the take-home cannot help the person raise a home at, perhaps the person not earning enough, or even the time to even to improve themselves and is not available. So what do you think, and how can this person do this?
All right, good afternoon. My name is Adetola. So I'll answer this question because I work in a financial institution. And I always tell people that I work with that there will never be time. That's the truth. But you just have to create time for yourself because you know what you want to do and what you want to achieve. If you have to sacrifice the time you are supposed to use to, I'm not saying that we shouldn't hang out and be social, but if you have to sacrifice your party time on Saturday or on Sunday, if you have to, rather than sleeping for 8 hours, do 6 hours and learn, you would gain something, because at the end of the day, you come together. So, and this is just not me telling you what is not possible. I work in a financial institution, and I know the time I come back from work. But irrespective, I can't count the number of certifications that I've written over the years, and there will never be time. But if you keep giving the excuse of there will never be time, you will never grow, and you will find out that you are still in that same position several years after, because you keep giving the excuse that there is no time. So you have to create time. During your leave, what are you using it for? During Sundays after church, what do you do? Saturday in the night, do you sleep from 7 p.m. and wake up 10 a.m.? What are you doing between that period of time? So you just have to look for time. At the end of the day, you are doing it for yourself and not for anybody.
Okay, just to add context to that, so I'm currently running my second degree, and trust me, if you work in tech, or if you work in that kind of environment, you know that there's no time. It's literally like when people say they do 9 to 5, I tell people that the only time I know I'm not working is when I'm sleeping, typically, right? Because there's always deadlines and the likes. And so it got to a point, even in my career, that I knew that I had to go and get, so I had the skill, you know, and I'm looking at, I want to work in the very, very big companies, and I know that there are things I actually need to have, and I had to just wake up one day in the office, and I said, maybe for the next 2 years, I have to give up my Saturday and pretty much of maybe later Sunday, because just after service, I have to give that up, you know, to be able to make sure that I get this, because I want to be able to sit down in front of or maybe of my next employer or the likes, and I have, so people, like you talk about value, right? It's something that say, okay, if you want to be able to manage people, do you have the, apart from the experience, is there something that shows us that, okay, you know what exactly you need to do? So it's always, like I said during the first panel, that it's sacrifice, right? And I'm actually paying my own sacrifice right now. So, for example, you see me ride a Benz and I come here and say life is good. You know, I can come here and be able to tell you, oh, God is good. But sometimes people don't tell you the sacrifices that you actually need to make. Trust me, you need to make the sacrifice. So we're going to go to the audience right now to take questions. Oh, yes, already?
Yes, very quickly. So we're going to take the next batch of people that are going in to the fair.
So from
151 to yes. 200. Your tag, if it is 151 to 200, can you please rise? Please stand up.
Okay. So while they are
151 to 200, please. If your number is not 151 to 200, please do not go there. You just cause a ruckus. All right? Please, 151 to 200. Now, can you please make your way to the back of the building, please? You see the ushers, they are waving. Please follow their directives in an orderly fashion, please.
Okay, so
and those at the back, if you would like to come forward.
Yes, move forward.
Could you please move forward so that it's.
By the time we're taking questions from the audience.
Yes, so that won't have to be running to the back of the building.
You can move to the side of the auditorium.
So please move forward, please. Thank you.
So thanks. This question is, I'm an electrical engineer in making, and I would love to be a practicing engineer, but I also love tech. How can I merge the two together? There's always something about experiences that you actually get, right? So about 2 weeks ago, so my company, we just launched a particular project, a program for the creative industry. And there was a time when I was waiting for service, I was just like, you know what, I can't, with that 3 months, I need to go and learn something. So I just told myself I needed to go and I registered with the Fashion Institute. I said, I want to do something different, right? I went there, and when I went to the institute, the woman was like, are you sure? Yeah, why graduates? Why do you want to come and learn this? And I just took out time. For about 3-4 months, I was waiting for service, and I learned how to cut, to sew, and do that. And you know that you think that it's very useless, right? So when I was meeting this particular founder, because I work with founders, support the biggest founders that you know, and I was speaking to her, and I said to her, okay, and I was giving context to the fashion industry. It was very easy for me to relate with her because I understood, because my time there, I was able to take deep dive, learn those things. Today, I'm not cutting and sewing, but in the line of work that I do, I can be able to bring that experience to the work that I'm doing currently right now, right? And one way or the other, I'm also giving value to my employers. Because when the person goes back and says, oh, I had a good experience with this person, the person understands, there's nothing as bad as when you talk to someone and the person does not understand context about the industry, right? So I'm able to come into my place of work right now. It wasn't a prerequisite skill that my employer was saying you have to have fashion experience. But in the kind of work that I do, I was able to pick up something that 3 months, 4 months, I was able to pick up, and I was able to give back value in that way. So as an electrical engineer, the fact that if you want to actually start with tech or do something in tech, you can also do that. Finish school, you might think you can actually now move and transit to full into tech, but start taking those courses right now. CSS, JavaScript, and the likes, or even, and people think tech is only about, you can only do coding coding part of tech. I work in tech and I don't code, but I teach developers how to code. So I don't code, right? So people look at tech as only the technical part, but there are also other parts that you don't actually need to code and the likes. So finish your career and the likes, and finish what you are currently doing. And trust me, those skills that you're actually picking up doing those things will actually help you. So I'm going to go to the audience right now. So if you have a question in the audience, just raise up your hand and we can take that question in the audience. So while we are sorting that out, just raise up your hand. So we have somebody with the mic at the back. Okay, so having a 2-1 in BA in linguistics, in a situation whereby you think you have gotten clarity in accounting because you got the opportunity to work in that sector, but you end up in marketing, then you realize that you probably just want to transit to tech. Maybe data analytics, what do you advise? Okay, I do want to answer. Let me know, because I'm tech person here, but does anyone want to answer that question?
Let me answer that. Okay, that's an interesting one. BA in linguistics.
Yes, BA linguistics, then accounting, then now the person wants to be able to move into,
tech.
The person wants to move to tech, data analytics, yes.
Okay, I think that's easy. So you are currently doing something to earn money, but at the same time, you know what you really want to do. And I keep telling this for people that maybe I mentor or people that are younger ones, that if you want to do tech, it's so easy. There are so much resources out there. It's so interesting that you don't even need to, in quotes, I'm not saying that you shouldn't pay to learn, if you need to, but at the same time, there are so many internships out there where they'll teach you for free and you can even intern. I did some tech courses last year, even though I'm not currently in tech, and I didn't pay a dime for it. I wrote certifications and I didn't pay a dime for my certifications as well, because there are organizations out there that are offering such opportunity. So you are working and at the same time you are learning other skills that will help you in your current field or help you in transitioning. So I think for this person, there is no problem. The first thing you need to do is get online, talk to people that are already in tech, join groups on WhatsApp, Telegram, wherever that will help you, where you can get information, Slack, anywhere that you know that information will be available. Connect with people. There are so many organizations out there, and I know there is also a bias for ladies as well. So I've benefited from so many girls only or women only tech certifications and all of that. So if you are a girl, there's so many courses that you can take advantage of, and you don't have to pay for free. There are some that you even write the certification and they allow you to intern with them for a few months, and it's just remote. So you get the certification, you are not paying a dime, you are just using your data, and at the end of the day, it's of use to you.
Okay, just to add to that also is, one privilege that I think members of Elevation we all have is, in the Career Pro unit, we run courses and we run programs for people to be able to do this. So perhaps maybe, if you're interested, I think we finished we had about maybe 4 or 5 streams or courses, I think data analytics and the likes. So you can maybe follow the Elevation, follow us on social media and the likes, and when we have those opportunities, we also have your database, so we'll actually send you emails and the likes. So we'll take questions from the audience right now. So so while so they can speak while we're trying to get that. Okay.
Just a quick question: if Adetola can give examples of those courses and certifications that she's done, I think it would help us. Thank you.
Okay, so the first thing is I've written AWS Cloud Practitioner. I'm currently signed on to AWS Solution Architecture. I've written some courses in data analytics using LinkedIn Learning. LinkedIn Learning is also great. I'm currently signed up to Ingressive for Good for Data Camp, so I have access to their data camp to be able to do as many courses as I want, but it's definitely for a certain period. So you can just check online, Ingressive for Good, ShortCodes, Azubi Africa. There are just so many of them. Just Google, and you can even just type free data analytics courses or free data analytics school that you can enroll for. If you want to do product management, you can Google product school. You can, there are just a whole lot. Just Google them. They will offer you internship they will teach you for like 3 or 4 months. Sometimes you have opportunity, they give you a voucher to write exams, and you have your certificates, and that's all.
Okay, we'll take a question from the audience. Thank you so much.
My name is Emmanuel. My question is this. I want to find out, one of the previous speakers said something. She said, there's this lady who was teaching some Nigerian students abroad, you know. So she was like saying that we're in a global village and then you can work from anywhere remotely. So I want to find out, are there platforms that Nigerian youth, young people can actually be able to get foreign clients, and do some basic things that almost everybody can do, like data entry, that doesn't require too much technicalities? Yes, I know about Upwork and Fiverr, but then you have the problem of you are a Nigerian, you get restrictions, you don't get gigs, and all of those, you can't receive payments easily, and many of those troubles that come with being a Nigerian. So my question is this: are there other platforms that are not so strict and that are easy for young people to be able to get foreign clients and earn in foreign currency? That's on the one side. The other question is this: how do you, when you have, if you have a job, for instance, you don't want to leave the job, but then you have passion you have interest, you have
something else. And it boils down to how to manage your time and how to plan. Because
come with something very tangible. Because a lot of people will say, oh, I took a pay cut, and you take a pay cut. So how long do you want to be able to stay in that particular job? You said it's going to give you, attached to it, it's experience and exposure. So it's okay, if I'm going to be here for 2 years, is 2 years enough? Is 1.5 years enough? Is 3 years enough? So once because exposure, it gets to a point whereby you get to that crescendo that nothing else will really matter again, and you have enough to be able to take you to that next level and be able to build value.
So let me understand one step. This scale up, is it to increase your take-home amount, or to increase your career influence? You know, because you're a medical doctor, you're in public health, you're in NGO. So if you're looking to scale, you're looking to increase are you looking to increase your take home? And if you're looking to increase your take home, it's about really taking your skill to the next level, and you're on the right track. You're getting experience, you're getting exposure. You need patience. It's some of these things are hard truth, but it's got to be said. You need patience. What do you then need to do in the period while you are waiting? You need to be mapping how do you increase then your influence, your platform. What are the ways you can increase your NGO, for instance? Are you really at broadening your skills beyond your medical? Creative reporting, creative communication is an integral part of the work because you need to advertise the thing you guys are doing. Are you looking to then be thinking, can you conceive a campaign, a program, and run? Those are the beyond executing activities that has been conceived by some other person. Those are the things that you then need to be thinking about to take yourself to the next level. I don't know if that may help someone.
And the practical step is, and this is something that I do, if I need to move on to that next level, I ask myself this important question: what is the skill set required for the next level? For example, if I'm looking at becoming the MD CEO, I said, okay, take an MD CEO, maybe of the company I want to get to. I do a research and say, for you to be an MD, for you to be this, you need to have this, 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 and this. And I say, what do I currently have now? And I say, okay, how can I move from this point to this to that point? Because it also really helps to know, okay, if I get to this point, I know that I'm actually ready to be able to do that. And actually leverage your network and also your LinkedIn. I see a lot of people posting stuff on LinkedIn, and I'm like, okay, because when employers want to, maybe they see your CV, they will go and check you on LinkedIn or the likes. and able to know, okay, are you posting? Storytelling is a very big part that a lot of employees don't even know, right? Because I want to be, when I go to your LinkedIn, I'll say, okay, what is that working? If you're working in an NGO, big platform, you are doing stuff, maybe you are going to outreaches and the likes, post it on LinkedIn. Storytelling, key skill that I feel like a lot of people are not utilizing. If you want to know me right now, just go Google check me out on LinkedIn. You know the kind of work that I do. As much as I can post, I post. As much as I can't, okay, there's some things that I do, I can't put it out there because of NDAs and the likes, but the things that I can actually put out there, it can also, so that's something I want to encourage you to do. So the next question is it advisable to leave a big organization to a start-up organization because of high pay? Okay.
Let me try.
Okay, yes.
That one.
So, you know, big name, small money. Small name, big money.
Okay. It still boils down to what you want to achieve. I've had people leave big organizations because, yes, it's a big pay, but they were not content, you know, with their growth level and with their skill set. So it depends on what you want to achieve. Sometimes this small startup actually could give you the growth speed that you need, which you will not get in big organizations. Big organizations, you have a pool of people pushing through to get to a particular position. So sometimes you can just get lost in the masses. But when you have startup, where your skill set will be clearly seen by the CEO, will be clearly seen by the president, sometimes it might be ideal to change, but you need to consider what you want to achieve. Because if you're leaving a good organization where you have adequate growth and exposure, and you want to go to a small organization where you're not practically improving yourself because of a large pay, you need to consider what am I really after? Am I just after getting paid, or I'm after developing myself? So it depends on what drives you. It depends on what you want to achieve.
Okay, thank you. So,
all right, thank you. It's time for the next batch. 201 to 250. Please look at your tags. If you are 201 to 250, can you please stand up and proceed to the back? Please, you have to go with your numbers. If you get there and your number tag is not 201 to 250, you will not be attended to. So please, it's important that you follow your tag. Thank you very much.
Okay, and so just to follow up to that, trust me, I've taken those career risks, right, to leave very big organizations to smaller ones. But there's something about startup, right? It's very stressful, trust me. It's very, very, very stressful because today you are doing plumbing work, next tomorrow you are doing carpenter work, because there's always something. But in the place of problem, that's where you can actually have a lot of opportunities, right? And you can grow very, very fast, because unlike when people tell me that, oh, if you're an organization, you have to take 2 years to get write promotional exam, then another 3 years to write another one again. And I'm like, if you're in a startup, you can, there was a time in a year I was promoted twice in a particular year, right? So I would have not even had the opportunity if I worked in a normal organization. So you can see somebody maybe in less than 30 years and they're already a director, you know, and you're wondering when maybe you're working in another organization, bigger organization, and before you get to the director level, you're in maybe your 40s or your 50s, you understand? And you can go and do much more. So you have to look at the pros and the cons and say, okay, whether it's a big organization, is what value are you giving to it, right? What kind of experience do I want to get from this? Because if you're standing in, I've been in a position whereby I moved from a bigger one to start in a smaller one, right? And I moved to a bigger one again. And the only way I was able to do that is I will show them what I turned the smaller organization to. And I told them that if I come to you, right, I'm bringing this value. So I brought something that did not sort of like exist. This is what I was able to take it to. And it didn't matter to them whether I worked in a big 4, big 100 or whatever. Is employers want to say, what can you do for us? They don't care whether they were working at Abiodun and Co, whatever, is what value are you giving to them? And smaller companies give, like I said, give opportunities to grow a lot, right? So there are some times where you need to take that move, but you actually need to know what exactly am I doing, right? And what do I want to get from this? So that you don't go there too, and you will not grow. And they'll fire you. Smaller company, don't get, once you don't, bigger company, you are too big. They are big and they might not really notice you. But in a smaller company, once you do one kind like this, the way your goodness will be exposed, your skills will also be exposed. And because it's so fast-paced, they will kick you out of the door quickly. So you have to know exactly what you want to do. So the next one says, as a customer service professional in the IT industry, transition into product management. Can you tell me how to go about transitioning? What do I expect? I'm currently doing certification in product management, but I have no idea on how to get a job in that role. So who wants to take that question? Okay, so the person is in customer service, right? The person wants to transition into product management. So what do they expect, right? So how do they sort of like transition from